We go. Preparing here for the cosmic chat with Madelaine and Amalia. For anyone who is catching us live. Okay, awesome. Oh, I'm so excited. Madelaine and I were talking about technical snafus I've had in the past with live streaming when I have other live streams set up, and it went to the right page. So I'm super excited.
Good.
Yes.
I've still not quite figured the whole live stream thing out. I'm jumping back and forth. So I'm hoping to figure that out one day. But sorry, go ahead.
Yes, you will. You will. I'm here for you too, girl.
Thanks.
Okay, so Amalia, Natalio with KarmicKindness with Madelaine Parker.
Hello.
And we are coming to you live and or on a replay, if you're catching us after today, to talk about the Scorpio New Moon. And man, oh man, Madelaine and I were talking before we joined you here in this space. And Madelaine was saying, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to focus on. Like there's so much to talk about. And I know we say that every time that there's so much to talk about.
Really?
I feel like
we do. This tops that.
We really mean it this time.
This time is for real.
So, you know, what's interesting is that for me personally with Scorpio, I find Scorpio to be one of those, I have a love, not love relationship with Scorpio energy. There's some parts of Scorpio energy that I really love. All of the occult wisdom and the going in deep is really juicy for me. And then those parts of it where there's like the hidden that you really don't want to see, that it really encourages / forces you to look at. And then the scorpion will come and kind of sting you, like you feel like you're good, and then all of a sudden, bam. So that I always find that I'm always looking for my equilibrium and bracing almost for impact, and learning how to relax and know that if I'm in a relaxed space, that is the best way to go. When I'm bracing, it's almost like, I think what people say, if you get for a car accident, like when you're more relaxed, your injuries are lesser if you're stiff, things tend to be,
that's why the alcoholic is the one that survives the crash, because their body's relaxed,
loose. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't really want to go into that route of that car accident situation.
Scorpio.
But I am like really aware of relaxing into and being in the flow. Water is part of Scorpio with that energy. So just sharing that with anyone who that might resonate with for them as well. Okay, so this Scorpio new moon is on November the 1st at 8:47 a.m. Eastern. It's at 9 degrees, 34 minutes. And Scorpio rules the genitals and the genes. That's something I did not realize, that the genes were part of the story for Scorpio, which is probably why I'm so into, actually I have my book here on my desk, the Gene Keys book. And if people are paying attention to my socials and they see the Gene Keys information, it's similar to astrology. It's based partially on astrology, the I Ching, the gene sequencing, and human design. So it's a really kind of rich, robust space. But this would be a great time, if you haven't taken a dive into it or tiptoed into it, to maybe consider discovering it. We're in that energy of the genes in Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Mars and Pluto. And Mars is in Cancer, Pluto is in Capricorn. And they are, if you think about the zodiac wheel, they're opposing signs. So to me, in the Gene Keys work, they talk about programming partners. So I kind of think of these opposing signs like that. They work together in a way. They create this whole picture for people. So I find it really interesting that both of the rulers of this new moon are in relationship sign-wise to one another. And think about Cancer as a very home-oriented, ancestrally oriented energy, and then Capricorn as more of that your legacy, how you work hard, you're going out into the world, where Cancer is more your home world. And Mars is in Cancer, and it's not necessarily comfortable there. Like, that is not a very easy energy for Mars. And Pluto in Capricorn moving out of that, it's like there's a little bit of tension there, being on the anaretic 29th degree as it moves out of Capricorn and into Aquarius on, I think it's November. Do you know that off the top of your head? November.
Saturn goes direct
19th.
November. Yep. 20th and 19th. Pluto goes into Aquarius. We will never see it in Capricorn again in our lives.
In our lifetime. Yeah, I think it's March 8th, 2043 is when it comes back, which is kind of wild to think about.
Yeah.
So at any rate, there's just, to me, that's what really jumped out, was just that energy. So typically, you know, what Madelaine and I do is I kind of give you my read, and I'm focused on the aspects specifically to the moon. And the moon and the sun, like every new moon, are hanging out together in the sign of Scorpio. So think about this. To me, kind of is a great reflection of the energy. Is you're going to be potentially more sensitive. So be aware of that, more sensitive to a lot of things, you know, emotionally, but also you could be more physically sensitive, like just you're heightened, you know, your awarenesses are heightened. So your intuition is also heightened. So pay attention to those intuitive nudges. It's also a really great time to reflect on past emotional wounding and plan for future growth. So I think that also is like that Mars in Cancer, Pluto in Capricorn energy. And finding a deeper connection within yourself and with the world around you. So this is a great time to kind of take what you learned from that Aries energy from the supermoon of October 17th and carry that into, you got a little more information, now carry that into this new moon. All right, there's also a really lovely aspect of Saturn trining the moon, or the moon trining Saturn, however you want to look at it. Saturn is in Pisces. So we have that water energy. We have more of that emotional energy. So the fact that Saturn is part of this equation, the way I see it, is that actually is supportive, because Saturn gives us a sense of stability, emotional stability. And then it's a balance between structure and fluidity, discernment and imagination, spiritual growth and practical application. So to me, I'm like, kind of, yay, Saturn's involved. And normally people are like, dang, Saturn's there. But this, I feel like, is a really good thing. And then we have a square, the moon squaring Pluto. Pluto, again, is in Capricorn. So this is a significant aspect, in my opinion, because this will definitely bring emotional intensity and give you an opportunity to process emotions in a way that you may not have been able to before. And maybe we'll talk about some ways to do that. There's also here an opportunity for you to open yourself up to hidden truths and maybe desires that you have, and face any fears around them. So as challenging as this may feel, it's really positive in terms of the long-term effect. And I have for anyone interested, I created this meditation called the Ideal Future Meditation. And I'm going to put a link in the description below for anyone who's interested. And if you can also go to my website under resources, it's there. And it's a meditation. I believe it's about 15-20 minutes, and it comes with a download. You can jot down some notes and some more instructions on it. But it's going to take you through a process that I think will be really supportive for you right now, and it's relaxing and clarifying at the same time. So that's just my gift to you for being here with us and being part of this moon journey. And just think about the Aries energy that we were coming out of, as there was a completion of some sort. And then that energy is flowing into the deep emotional waters of Scorpio. And so this intensity from Scorpio and the passion from Aries sparks, the way I see it is it sparks, leading to transformation, especially with Pluto moving into Aquarius during this moon cycle. So huge in terms of the potential that this holds, huge in terms of how we may be feeling it. And one final thing before I give the mic over to
keep talking. I'm enjoying it. I don't have to, as I said, I'm overwhelmed with the amount of things there are to talk about. So I'm blank, and I prefer just to hear you now.
Well, good. So now you've got a little something to build on.
That's true.
I wanted to show everyone, because I feel like this is so helpful to look at the impact chart. I think this is going to be a regular thing that I share. So here we have the moon. And so if you have any planets or in the degrees of, let's say, 4 to 14 degrees of Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus, or Leo, you are going to feel the intensity of this new moon in particular. And I, of course, have planets or points in pretty much all those. So I was telling Madelaine before, it's, something I'm like, we're still in this Aries energy when we are going live / recording this. And I'm like, wow, okay, just go with the flow and trust that everything is as it is meant to be, and it's all working out in my favor.
Yeah, it is kind of easy to have some anxiety around this new moon, but
it's good. It's all good.
Yeah, let me know when you're ready, because I don't want to jump in yet until you're ready.
So I say go ahead and lay it on us, and then before we go into all the signs, then I'll share the flower for this new moon in Scorpio.
All right, let's take a look then. I will share the screen.
I'm excited to hear what you have to say, Madelaine.
Say what? Say that again?
I said I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Oh, yes, because I've done a lot of research on this new moon, because the transits look pretty intense.
Yeah.
So, and so what happened, and it's Scorpio to go digging and digging and digging and digging. So I've been digging to all the layers, reading about the nakshatra, reading about the fixed star that it's on. And, the good outweighs the bad.
Yeah.
That's clarity right there. Because that was my motive to dig deep, was to make sure we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people in general, we've had Saturn in retrograde, so the economy is sluggish, to say the least. But astrologically, you could point the finger at retrograde Saturn, right? So the constellation that this new moon is on a constellation called the Cross, and the main star that is near this cross, the fixed star, is called Le Creux, the Cross, which literally means it is ruled by Jupiter. So it is about spirituality. It's a cross. It's about devotion, which is very Scorpio. It's about self-sacrifice. And this is a new beginning. And the nakshatra is on the nakshatra Swati, which is represented by a sprout blowing in the wind. And it's a sword energy. It's Rahu, which is obsessive, which is also Scorpio. So it's like what we're looking at with these. I mean, I'm going to give it a brief kind of summary, like a sentence that sort of covers the whole energy of this new moon, which is, with that Pluto Mars and the squares to Pluto that we're having right now with the sun, is we're overcoming major karma, major fears, which you tapped on, but we're facing our fears of survival. A lot of us will be triggered with survival fear. That's Mars Pluto. So you either survive this and you become transformed into faith, because this is what Scorpio energy does, is it takes the rot, the deep down fear, the wounding, and it brings the light in, and it's medicine, it's spiritual medicine. And so it brings the light in, reveals the wounding, reveals the rot, the junk, purges it, brings in the light, and then transforms it so that you can progress, so that we're shedding the old sort of bark, the old skin, the unneeded that has become toxic. It's purging. So this is like those fears. It's hard to make that connection, but Scorpio is basically the energy of the riches, because what happens is in the Scorpio transits, you transform a deep lower density fear, which then elevates you, enlightens you, and then you become higher frequency, which then you literally attract a new level of abundance. So we have had Pluto in our Capricorn house since 2008, and we have been working on some lower density, fear-based, karmic, unhealthy ways of operating, let's say, shall we say, that are fear-based, because Scorpio is about having devotion. It's a devotion which transforms from survival fear to, I'm going to use an example. Laird Hamilton's chart I study, and he has Pisces over his 8th house, and he has a ton of planets there. And the 8th house is facing a deep trauma fear, and it's where you don't believe in God. Okay. So he came into this world. I think he drowned in a past life, and he came into this world to discover that it wasn't his failure that caused him to drown in life. It was that God took him that way. And so you come into this life, because I hear him interview, and he talks about how he's at the bottom of the ocean. He thinks, okay, this is it. My life is over. I'm dead. And then he pops back up and he's like, oh my God, I'm alive. And his wife sees him again, and he's like, oh my God, I'm alive. That's like literally death and rebirth, right? So that's Scorpio. So basically, he's purging this deep fear that he's going to drown by constantly not drowning, and constantly. So you almost attract that fear so that you can discover that, no, the truth is God is there, and God takes you when God wants you. So you have this transformation over that fear. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. I mean, he's literally going into the depths,
yes,
and being reborn. And I wonder if, I was just thinking when you were just telling that story, I was just thinking, I wonder what goes through his mind every time he gets on that board in these ridiculously like 30, 60-foot waves. Like, does he feel that fear, or has he come to a place of feeling maybe a twinge of it, but feeling it a peace, because he's acclimating to it in a way? I don't know. Have you ever heard an interview about it?
Yeah. He says he feels the fear, and he believes we should all feel a certain amount of fear every day, and it keeps you pumped up. It keeps your energy, it keeps your chi body. He thinks it's healthy to be afraid of being attacked by a saber-toothed tiger at one point in the day. Like, we should have that adrenaline rush. So he likes to face that fear. And in fact, that's because in Hawaiian spiritual, they had the big kahuna. He would usually be a big wave surfer, but he was also spiritual. He's also had an advanced knowledge of spirituality in the cosmos. If you can understand how to face your fear, face that fear, then you trust God, because you realize God is with you. Yes. So it's like there's this transformation where you suddenly, because I have Venus in my 8th house, so I always made my marriages or relationships my salvation, God. And so I had to face my fear of having no relationship and being single, to face the truth, which is, no, they're not your salvation. I am. So then you become more, then you suddenly get this awakening, this rebirth, this realization that you're here because God wants you, and God's going to take you when you're going to die when God wants you, and not a minute before. And then you suddenly start taking risks. That's Scorpio, is to sort of start taking risks and be obsessive and lose yourself in something and go for it. And, and like, it's passionate, and it's, it's digging deep into things. It's, I have a whole list. I mean, I've taken it. I should use my notes. I go through the effort to make notes. I should use them.
Well, but they help, I'm sure, get you kind of ready for it.
That's true.
It's interesting that you and I both have Venus in our 8th houses.
Oh, you do? You have Venus? Oh, interesting.
Yeah. In Gemini, which I think is also an interesting placement. So where is yours, Madelaine?
Well, in Vedic, it's in my 8th. In Western, it's in my 7th, but it's in 7th in Capricorn, which is the same exact message.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
which is
Interesting.
my survival. And I have K2 in my seventh and Rahu in my first, which is the whole message of my chart is to learn how to land on my own 2 feet. And I was absolutely sure, dead certain that that's why I got married as soon as I did, because I was absolutely sure I couldn't.
Yeah.
So that's what I tell people when you have the North Node in whatever house it lands in your chart. I guarantee it, you're going to do it. You can make it if you go for your North Node. That's literally the universe saying, yes, if you try that, you'll make it.
Do
Because I
it.
landed on
Yes.
my own 2 feet. And I mean, it shocks me every day.
Still shocks you, still to
I'm
this day.
totally shocked. That's Scorpio. That's because I have the Venus in the eighth. Or you could say I have Venus Capricorn, which is very karmic, which is the same energy. So that's what's happening with Pluto at the end degree. And by the way, my Venus is 27 degrees Scorpio. I mean, Capricorn. So I have Pluto on my freaking Venus right now.
Wow.
So
So for people who don't
it's
understand
the
what
end
that
of the
means,
lesson.
it just means it's an intense time right now with transforming when it comes to love and relationships. And also, I would say how you view the beauty within yourself. I mean,
I am a whole transformed in the area of love all the way, because what happened, because this is very important for everybody, I'm not just talking about me, but this is to help you understand what's happening in your Capricorn house. There is that you no longer are afraid of that fear. Like let's say you have if you're Aries, if you're Libra rising, you're going to have Capricorn over your fourth. So you've been transforming through fear around family issues. So reading for Aries rising, Libra rising, they're dealing with like facing their mothers, confronting, not afraid to set boundaries with their mother, clearing karma, and now facing the last fear of really setting a major boundary with their mother, with Mars, their opposite Pluto, going, okay, this is it, mother. I need you to listen to me no more. That kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. Or we're seeing, if it's like, for instance, in your 10th house, if you've got Pluto exiting Capricorn there and it's at the last degree, that's Aries rising. I mean, they're really clearing a karmic patterning of getting fear-based jobs because they're scared, and just, into situations or conflicts in work where they're like, is a repeat pattern of like laborious work and not really sort of trusting in the independent path, by the way, which is this new moon. This new moon in Scorpio is hitting on the part of the chart which represents fierce independence, boldness. That's the energy of Mars. It's also the energy of Rahu, which is what this is in Vedic, which is about independence and striking out. It's an air energy. It's an obsession. It's like this new beginning of this reinvigorated courage. Because it's on the Jupiter crew, which is ruled by Jupiter, which is like spirituality, devoted, like getting back up on our feet, that kind of energy, and fighting again and going for it. That this is a positive new moon, actually, which I was trying to get to, despite all these scary things with that Mars Pluto is going to be intense. That is like near death. That's violence. That's if you have this somewhere hitting in your chart, you might have a near-death experience or near accident. I mean, that's just to be honest. But and also, Mars is ruler of this new moon, and Mars is debilitated at the last degree there at 29 degrees, opposing Pluto. So it's definitely triggering. Scorpio is the energy of paranoid triggering. So your issues are 100%. I had somebody the other day saying, is my situation with my mother, this was the thing, going to get worse or better? And I said, it's going to get worse. Because I'm telling you, this Mars Pluto is building, and it is that last triggering, that deep triggering of that deep fear that's going to test your ability, or to test that you've gotten over this fear. Like my sense of salvation without a relationship may get really triggered here. I hope not. I feel pretty good, but I'm just saying I feel passing it. I feel very confident and good. So that's what you want to make sure as you're going through this new moon, that you're really clearing and purging and connecting to those lessons that you've learned in the last 18 years or since 2008, right? So it's like, this is the rebirth of that. It's a beautiful new moon. I pull cards on it. I get abundant cards. So the economy is sluggish. So I actually think people are going to start feeling a little more abundant again. I'm getting, because Scorpio is the riches. So these transformations, honestly, this transformation, this end of this journey, I really think is going to bring a collective up boom in the economy, because energetically, a Scorpio is the energy of that abundance, other people's money, investments, risk taking, finances. It's about money. So we're transforming. And what are we transforming from? A really sluggish situation. We can only go up. I suppose we could go further down, but from the Jupiterian aspect of the crew, this is abundance. This is a little bit better. It's not like huge, because this could also be the initiation of an abundant path that leads to independence, or this can suddenly be an abundant, explosive situation opportunity. We have that Mercury opposing Uranus, by the way, which is sudden, surprising news. Uranus transits are always good. I mean, you can have a Mars square Uranus and Mars on there. That can be a problem, but mostly it's liberating. If you die on a Uranus Mars transit, you've been liberated. You could look at it that way, but it is a liberating energy. And it's, so we've got some big secrets, big news coming out in our own personal lives amongst. If you have transits aspecting this, you're going to hear news, you're going to reveals of secrets, Scorpio, that are shocking, because that's Uranus energy.
Madelaine,
but,
would you? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, would you talk about the kites?
Sure. This is
I feel like that's significant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's when I was looking at that, I was like, wow. I mean, this is not one, but two going on.
This is, yes. And that kite is pointing at Uranus at 25 degrees Taurus, which is which is a very abundant energy. It's, if we go brave on this new moon and we initiate, because in the Swati Nakshatra, it represents a sprout in the wind, in Rahu, obsession, go for it, energy, right? Jupiter, it's ruled by Jupiter in the star system, and Jupiter's in Gemini, again, an air energy. Uranus is an air energy, which is ideas, and it's liberation, and it's independence, and it's about finances. It's in the sign of Taurus, Mercury. So we're going to get surprising ideas, surprising new information. I think that shows that we're going to be okay financially, that we can start taking risks. We can go on vacations again. We can travel again. We can, people can start doing things and get more independent and move around. People are feeling very stuck right now because of their finances, but that's Saturn retrograde. It really does that. I'm watching it in everybody's lives. I mean, it really is like, energy.
Well, the one thing I have to say about Saturn that I've noticed is that, for me anyway, is that this Saturn retrograde period has been somewhat helpful for me, because what it's done is it's subconsciously had me looking at projects and things from the past that I started that I didn't quite, that were meant to be done, but that for whatever reason, I didn't have the wherewithal or the energy to do it. And now, for whatever reason, I am. And I actually feel quite proud of myself. It's not really the word I'm looking for, but I feel quite accomplished, because I'm actually doing the things that I know are setting me up for future success.
Yes. I feel exactly the same way. When I see Saturn transits, I know I'm going to get my teeth grit. You and I must have strong Saturns. I have a very positive Saturn in my chart. So you must have a good Saturn. So you have good experiences with Saturn, because we love that gripping in the dirt and feeling like we're making progress and it's working. Some people, they don't like it, but I agree with you. I like the progress that you feel, like the real progress. When Saturn goes direct right now, that's why I think this is a really good new moon, because Saturn's going to go direct like the 15th, right? So it's like suddenly things are going to feel, although it's going to still be in the stationary energy for a while, it's still going to start feeling lighter, better, like things are progressing. And then we're going to see, like you say, we've got things to be proud of, because we would have worked hard at something in retrograde, which is what Saturn made us do, go back and work on something harder. Be more disciplined about it. I had to be more disciplined about my social media. I had to go back and do it. And I just don't think I'm good enough for it. That's the truth. So I procrastinate. I don't want to do it. So I just have to stick myself out there, good, ready or not. So Saturn in retrograde is making you go back and do stuff and get better at it. And guess what? When you go back and you do what Saturn makes you do, and you don't think you're good enough to do it, you work your butt off to make sure you are. You stand, what is it called? It's called thank you for the competition. Thank you for the pressure. So Saturn is giving us pressure. And then afterwards, you're like, thank you for that pressure. You made me better. So where were we? Okay. So yes, I think financially people are going to start seeing better. You're going to start being able to take risks with your money a little bit again, which I think means spend it. I think it's a very positive spiritual in the sense that there's a transformation that has occurred in this Pluto journey. So we're at that point of having transformed this low, some sort of major lower density blocking of our abundance energy, frequency, fear-based attachment energy, right? That Pluto wanted to burn out of us through pain body, right? So then what happens is that then you've got this kite pointing to Uranus, which is financial liberations, which is very high vibration. And it is going to be trining Pluto again. That's coming very, I'm telling you, people ought to feel much better about finances and auspiciousness and abundance. And these new beginnings are absolutely on the path, because these are risky new beginnings that you don't see the abundance of necessarily. But the riskier, but the more intuitive and guided, as we say, spiritually guided or astrologically guided risks, the more abundance we can be, because that means you have faith in abundance and you believe in God. You believe in abundance, which is that God will always be there and provide, which is the God is, if God is the sun every day, that sun shines and ignites growth in the plants every single day. So we always have the energy of abundance shining on us. So when we see that, we live as though that's true, then we do what inspires us, what we desire. That's Scorpio. It's our desires. That's Mars. So we're breaking through those barriers of karmic decisions that were fear-based, that were not believing in the ultimate for ourselves on some level, cutting ourselves short. I mean, like people having jobs, working in jobs they don't like. That's a simple example, and not doing what they truly want to do, you know. That's like the desire. What might show up in this new moon is a situation where you go, well, I guess I'm going to have to go get one of those jobs again. That's the energy of Scorpio. It's like that with Laird Hamilton at the bottom of the water. Well, I guess I die here. That's it. And then all of a sudden, you know, when you let go and you surrendered in that point, you've released that fear, and then God shows himself to you by this weird thing that shows up, and you suddenly bobble up to the top of the water and you don't know what got you up there. Or suddenly this opportunity shows up, or suddenly you're still alive and you can work again, or money starts coming in, or the thing that a lot of people have taken the independent path since Uranus went into Taurus, and they took their independent, and they've been struggling, and it's been the road to your independent success is not paved in gold, and it scares people. That's Pluto and that's Scorpio, because we think we have to have lots and lots of money all the time coming in, security, but the universe tells you will have money coming in because the sun is going to shine every day. So you don't have to so our programming is that we have to have constant money. We have to know down the line all the time. But when you walk that path and you're not necessarily cutting even, and you might be on a little bit of a loss, which is debt with the Scorpio, which means you've taken a risk. And so you walk that path, and then you discover that you were really walking a devotional path, which wasn't going to pay yet. That path isn't paved in road, but it takes you there. I mean, gold, but it takes you there through that transformation of your fear that you're going to die on the way there. The die of starvation. And then you suddenly go, oh, wow, no, I'm on a devotional path. God is with me. God will feed me. And then you do transform into the riches, because in Vedic, Pluto means the riches. So we're going to get through this Mars. If you live past Mars, Pluto, yay. I mean, it's a challenging transit. There could be a lot going on in the world, but really we are liberated through this, because it has a sextile to Uranus, and Saturn's going to go direct. We're going to start, our money's going to start feeling better. We're getting over some of these we've really matured with that Saturn direct. We've really gotten over major karmic baggage. I mean, huge. What we were here to do was to dump this karma and to proceed with clear baggage. I mean, with clear bags. I mean, this is awesome new beginnings, this new moon. And we are, that Aries full moon really wraps some junk up, you know, rattled some things. And now we're really in this, we've got this new sprout and it's blowing in the wind. That's a Swati, which means we're the universe is on our back. We've shed a skin with that Scorpio energy is the death card. You shed a skin, and we've got this fresh new skin. I mean, it's after we get over these humps, you know, this hump of this Mars opposite Pluto, which is, so the way through that obviously is to go Pluto. It is to, because it's whatever upset you go through, or crisis or trauma that gets triggered in your fear body, or whatever happens in that Mars Pluto transit, is to clear the final purging fear density out of your system around this. So let's say you are in one of your issues is seventh house, and your person has cheated on you, or you've had series. Well, you might get triggered again, and they may cheat on you one more time, just for you to clear that your well-being is dependent on somebody cheating on you and not cheating on you, and you suddenly don't even give a crap. And that's when you've had the medicine. That's when you're cleared of it, and that's when it never happens again. My dad cheated on my mother, and when she didn't give a crap, he was totally devoted to her, but she was really upset about it, which is understandable. But this
of course.
But this is the eighth house energy. It's about intimacy. It's Scorpio. It's about all that kind of stuff. So that's hopefully a roundabout nutshell of this energy.
Well, one thing I wanted to add to what you were saying, Madelaine,
Sure.
that I think is valuable for folks to take into consideration when it comes to abundance flowing to you. And you were talking about, you know, the path to riches is not paved in gold. Riches does not necessarily mean having, you know, a gigantic bank account, although it could. And it could be that what I've noticed with some of my clients and friends is that, actually, would you mind the stop share unless you wanted to talk about the chart more?
Yes. No, thanks for reminding.
Yeah. So what I've noticed is that for some of my clients and friends who have had some financial challenges, and I think that a lot of people can relate to financial challenges, that they keep looking at their accounts or the money coming in as the benchmark for abundance, when they oftentimes miss the friend that gives them a gift card that they don't need, or the person that says, hey, I'm going to give you that free session at this massage place, or here is, I just got a trial for this place, but I don't really want it. Here, you have it. So just keep in mind that abundance may flow to you in ways that aren't necessarily like tangible dollars and cents, but are offering you what you need in that moment through other places and people. And so just having a keen awareness of expanding your perspective and really being in gratitude for these gifts that may come trickling in ways that are unexpected.
Well, that's an interesting subject, because I like what you're saying, because really what, in my opinion, abundance means a quality of life. And it's, are you living a life that you desire? And it's not about money, because you could have a lot of money and live in a really crappy place in a horrible part of town and have no friends. You know, it's like, so it's like abundance is that you feel like you're living the life you desire, and that you feel support, and that you're safe. You feel, you know, a certain amount of safety and security in your life, you know, and that's really great, because I think we get brainwashed into thinking we need to have a lot of money and that money's going to crash, and you know, when it's really we just have to be focused on what we're here to our path, and then let the universe take care of the money, because it will 100%. And that's actually part of Scorpio too, because it's an eighth house. It's about other people's money, and it's about being devotional, and then in your fearlessness, that you then you energetically are transformed to that frequency, which is abundance, is a fearless frequency. It's so Scorpio is a medicine, literally. Like, you'll lose money on a Scorpio transit, so you stop. So the universe is pulling this, so you stop gripping money, and you go, forget it, right? So then all of a sudden now your energy is like, and you stop that grippage energy on your money, and as soon as you let go of that Scorpio, you let go of that fear. You say, whatever, it can flow now, So that's kind of the energy. So we're all going through that right now, because everybody's going, because Saturn's retrograde, and it hasn't let us really make money the wrong way with those eclipses in Aries, and the North Node in Aries, and those cardinal eclipses, where we're all like, literally, like, the ways we've hung on to are like, because they're not part of the news, these major new beginnings. So, but the other beautiful thing about Jupiter and Saturn is we'll always be okay. If and that's the other thing about being on your sunlit path and walking your Jupiter path and walking your North Node, is that you are always protected. Even Saturn retrograde, no matter your worst transit, you'll always make it through. Saturn it's your father. He doesn't give you any cookies or any treats, but you'll always get dinner.
Well, at least that's something.
Yes. So we're pulling out, we've matured, we've grown up somewhere with that Saturn direct. To me, that's very positive. You were absolutely right there. This new moon is on an abundant Jupiterian vibe, and it's got Rahu air behind it. It's about liberation, independence, bravery. Fears are completely eradicated. Brand new beginnings where we have been way too afraid to step up to, in a way. So I'm going with super positivity on this one. I pulled a Knight of Cups.
That's very positive. So I'm going to also share this card, which is the card for the Scorpio New Moon, which nice. I love, the Gardenia. And the message is transform your weaknesses into strengths, and it activates shifting your perception, which is something we've been talking about quite a lot in this beginning of this cosmic chat. And the question on this card, which I think is so perfect, is there an aspect of yourself that you'd rather avoid?
Perfect.
Pretty much Scorpio. And then it goes on to magnify seeing your shadow side in a positive light.
Oh my gosh, you are so connected.
It's incredible how perfect this flower is for. And for those of you who saw our cosmic chat from the Aries full moon, I have the card sitting over on my altar, so I don't have it right here right now, but it was this kind of, you can go back and check my social or the replay. It's the black bat flower, and it looks kind of ominous and very Halloween-y in a way. To me, this is a complete shift of the vibe and of the feeling of the flower and the support. So I love Gardenia for,
that really helps the message in a way, because that's the message of Jupiter, and that's the message of the light. It's enlightenment. So and that's the opposite of the fear. And that's what's really been happening when we've gone through this Pluto transit in our charts. We become more enlightened. It's almost like an enlightened energy.
It's just beautiful. I didn't have a chance to look up what elixirs the Gardenia is in. Maybe I will look that up, and I'll put it in the description, so when folks go back later, they can find that. But just as a reminder too, I'm using the LOTUSWEI Flower Evolution deck. It is currently out of print. Just between you and me and everyone watching, it's going to be revamped, so it will be available, and I'll be sure to let everyone know. I'm so excited about it. I will buy the new deck also. I'll have all kinds of goodness to play with. But you can use, elixirs, and here's a mist, and you just literally spray. They smell delightful and wonderful. You spray it. It totally shifts your energy in seconds. And then if you don't want to buy anything, which you don't have to, there's a discount code below if you do, and a link. But just literally take a screenshot of the flower, or imagine it in your mind, or if you're able to purchase flowers whatever flower comes up for your sign, just bring them into your home and just have them around as that the consciousness and the energy of the flower to support you. It's amazing. I will tell you firsthand, it's amazing the shifts that take place in your physical space and within yourself when you start to bring in supports that are kind of unusual for some people, but powerful and impactful. So that is the flower for this moon cycle. And
Perfect.
shall we
Very
jump into the
yes. Okay.
signs?
So, yeah. So really, just so everybody knows, these readings are general, and you really have to know what's going on in your own chart to fully understand. And in this new moon, it is worth, you ought to pull up, everyone ought to make sure that this Pluto Mars thing isn't having a really negative impact on you, because if that is, that's something to look at and it's intense. But otherwise, if you're not being impacted by the Mars Pluto transit, this is a very, very, very nice full new moon. So we'll start with that. And I've dug deeply, deeply, deeply on it. So I speak that with confidence. I've been very Scorpio about it, detective.
Going in deep.
Yes. Oh, no, we've done this part. No, I'm sorry. We're not sharing.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm just doing the houses. Okay. That's right. So let's start with Aries. Let me get to Aries on the first house.
And do you have your cards, Madelaine, to hold up for
gosh, you know what? I do. They're right here.
That's so helpful for folks.
I completely forgot about them, but they happen to be right here.
Awesome.
So Aries is right here. I don't know which way I should do it. Okay.
So while you're doing that, I'm over in the chat.
Sure.
And there's a gentleman named Andy who's commenting, and he was saying how he doesn't really understand the stars. He's not paid that much attention or studied them very much before. He doesn't know what the symbols or the grids or whatever what they mean exactly.
Okay.
He said he's not desiring money. He said, I relate to all of those. I'm not desiring money, companionship. I have a sad life. I'm content financially, even though I have restraints. Money isn't everything to me. Winter's coming. So I'm not really sure exactly what he's saying there.
Ask the question. Tell him, did he say he was sad? What did he say? Did he say?
Yeah. So Andy, can you say more? Tell us a little bit more, and maybe what we might be able to do to support you. Like, you're tuning in. Are you looking for clarity on something specific? Is there some way that we can support you on your journey, on your inquiry? If you want to drop in the chat, if you're still here, I don't know if you're still with us. If you want to drop in the chat your rising sign, and then definitely listen to the rising sign in particular when we get to it, so that you can have a little bit of guidance and support. But listening to your sun, moon, and rising will give you a little bit of a better sense of things. But like Madelaine said, having a real clear idea of your entire chart gives you a lot more specific, detailed information. This is the broad strokes. So
that Saturn retrograde, having really been a long time though, just so you know, if you've got Saturn placements in your chart, you're definitely feeling a funk. It's very funky, kind of in a funk vibe. So just
that could be part of it.
That out there. Yeah. Because I have people that are ruled by Saturn and they're just really feeling that retrograde. Okay.
Yeah. So Andy, if you are Capricorn in particular, that you would likely be feeling this somewhat intensely.
And it's ending, and it's going to go much better. Much better. So hang in there.
Yeah. And I'm not on the chat. Oh wait, hang on. So I popped back over. Oh, he was talking about winter coming related to the flower. Gotcha, Andy. Cool. Oh. And yes, birth sign, I mean, when you were born. So do you know what your sign is when you were born? That's all if you don't know, then pop your birth date into the chat and Madelaine and I can tell you. Okay. Into Aries.
Aries. So this is an 8th house, new moon. And I would say that most people during this new moon are already in their fear situation. I don't know that this new moon will trigger the fear of survival and finances, but it will certainly bring a new beginning that makes you go, oh, good. So it's like, yeah. So it's like, okay, good. This is happening. Okay, great. This is going forward. And it's eighth house. So it's potentially from other people's money. It could be a inheritance. Somebody could pass. Usually it's a full moon that people I notice passing, but a new beginning, an inheritance. Maybe somebody passed it a while ago and the inheritance is coming through, or you're able to refinance a property or sell a property. What else would be eighth house? A new relationship that becomes very passionate, very intimate, very the right one. This is a more shall we say these energies in general, because of the eclipses in Aries and Libra, this would be a relationship that was higher frequency, that was not a fear based, because we've cleared that karma. This would be Aries is going to have Capricorn over their over their 10th. So this could be actually a job related, work related, a new, like for instance, you could be in film and you get some kind of a big money to produce something, because this is really putting you on your career in that last degree point of Mars, Pluto there in your 10th house. It's really the work or the way to make money that was really that if you were in complete faith, you would do. Like people who say, I would really love to have been this, but I did this instead. It's what you would have really loved to have been. It's going to be financially very auspicious, and it will be, I'm saying that Aries right now on the whole are fearing their financial survival on some level. So I would say that it's the relief of that, and it can involve, let's see what other houses ruled by Mars for Scorpio. Where's their Aries? Well, their first house. So this rules their first house. So it's like a new birth, regeneration, a whole new, an enlightened, a more like, it's almost like because this happens, you have faith in life again. You suddenly think, it's like that Laird Hamilton swims to the top. It's like, yay, I'm alive. This is going to work out. So that's kind of nice energy. But again, be careful, because you're ruled by Mars. Mars is in Cancer right now. It's opposing Pluto. You want to be very careful. There could be health issues, near death or dangerous situations, a volatile, emotional, triggering. That Mars in the last degree of Cancer. It's so interesting that it's right opposing Pluto. Those issues come up. Those emotional triggers are coming up. That is going to show you whether you've purged that fear, that Pluto fear, or not. Go ahead. I could go on.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Always. There's always so much to say.
Yeah.
So this is kind of hard to see this. Let me chip it. The banana yucca, and banana yucca activates hidden potential. So I feel like that's really so cool to consider when we're thinking about Scorpio New Moon, that potential that you didn't realize was there. It magnifies uncovering your secret talents and being able to expand and grow and accomplish things in leaps and bounds that you didn't necessarily believe that you could. And there's also an energy of leadership with this flower as well, which I feel is so
Aries. Yep.
Lined up with Aries. So banana yucca for Aries is, I feel like, a very supportive card. So if you're feeling challenged in any way, really bring the energy of this flower into your daily life. I feel like it will be extremely helpful for you as you're navigating it, and powerfully supportive.
That looks a lot like the last flower, doesn't it?
A bit, yeah, it really does.
Yeah, so
I was noticing that there's some.
It's that busting through the fear and being in the light about something, and seeing the light, having a renewed invigoration. You know what Laird Hamilton's wife always says? Like when she married him, she said she had to have such extreme detachment, because every day she has to say, okay, bye. This might be the last day I ever see you. She's like, love you. Bye. It was great. And then every time he comes home, they're like, oh my God, your home. So
yeah, I would imagine. I mean, it's kind of, I would say I would liken that to people who in the military, when their spouses go off to who knows where? I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, and honestly, we don't know what's going to happen in every moment. So
That's true.
regardless of what
That's the point, is God
yeah,
will take us when it's time.
yeah, exactly.
And until then, have a good time.
Just enjoy life. Yes. Okay.
Yep.
So Taurus.
All right. So now we're going to go to Taurus. I have the Taurus card here. Let's see, Taurus. Taurus. So this is going to happen either these, it's going to happen. You've got Scorpio in your 7th house of relationships. So new relationships, new partnership agreements coming in that are, these are new beginnings that are, I'll read my notes because I do have good notes about it. These are new beginnings that are passionate, resourceful, focused, probing, deep, and introspective. So in other words, this passionate new beginnings happening in your 7th house partnership that really inspires you, that is so you've had Pluto in your 9th house, so you've had this really opening up of the mind. You've had a very kind of shut mind about something. But definitely your sparks are breaking open there's some kind of sparkage going on in the brain where their perceptions are shifting. And there's sort of like the basically a fear about believing in something is going away, like a closed-minded perception about something is dying completely because Pluto's leaving that. So you're gonna have a last spiritual, like, oh, you mean it's safe to believe in this? It's safe, and you can trust it. It's for real. You know, that's how I felt every time I get a transit there in the 9th house about astrology. I'm like, really? Like, it's really real? So there's an awakening that completely transforms you, that enables you to resonate, but also enables you to really step more onto a path, because it took some sort of faith and spiritual belief in order to step onto this path. And so these are new beginnings with a partner, with a marriage or relationship, where you bring on a soul contracted sort of passionate new endeavor together, or you just have a passionate time in the bedroom together, which is absolutely a big part of that story. What else could I say? It's almost like for some Taurans, they may have had a very limited perception of who they should be in a relationship with. They have a belief that I should never be in a relationship with someone who's in construction, let's say. They're always alcoholics or whatever. And then you meet someone who's in construction and you fall madly in love and you're like, I'm going to marry a construction person. So that's the energy of this new moon, where you realize that it was just some fear-based programming that was blocking you from something that was really true for you, a relationship, partnership, or some kind of a venture that has a spiritual, and remember, it is the occult. So there's probably some sort of rigid indoctrination against the occult, which you now bust through and you become more open to it. And you trust it more, and you have a sort of spiritual awakening around it, and then you go further deeper into a project, into a soul collaborative project with your person or other partners. But it's really about a breaking out of a limited mind, because that's what Pluto's been doing there for Taurans, because Taurans can be pretty rigid thinking if they have planets in the 9th house. So there's this sort of, wow, okay, it's safe. There is a God here. This is where I was afraid to believe in my own intuitive ideas about, or to explore everything without everybody else's ideas and telling me it's good or bad, that kind of a thing.
It's so interesting when you're talking about Taurus and rigid thinking. I think of it kind of as that bull energy, very stubborn. So it can be stubborn or rigid, and not to say all Taurans are that way. It tends
to be really that way too. But yes,
there tends to be that will show up. So we have the papaya flower for Taurus, and this activates receptivity, and the message is gentle is powerful. And what is so cool about this flower, as it's connected to the Scorpio new moon, is that it brings a sense of compatibility within relationships. It's a balancing of the yin and the yang energy. So, whether you're in a same-sex relationship or not, there is going to be typically one person that's got more of a masculine and more of a feminine majority, how they appear, how they show up energetically. And so this, to me, kind of gives a safe place to land when it comes to both parties being able to lean into what they're most comfortable in, but also striking a balance within the relationship and finding that nice give and take, and then finding a way to be able to receive on both parties. You know, it's not one doing all of the heavy lifting within the relationship. It's both people being able to also receive from the other. So the papaya flower for the 7th house transit of the Scorpio new moon, I feel like is extremely supportive for folks that are either in a relationship, whether it's an intimate partnership or it's a business relationship, or you know, it could be with, you know, some sort of a friendship or any type of relationship. So just be aware of that going forward.
Well, it's interesting that that's the first card that you've pulled that has partnership in it, like 2 flowers. And then we have the budding flowers. So it's very much about what 2 people coming together to create, and Rahu, you know, take forward into the future.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I like that. I like that
Yeah.
perspective. All right.
Very
Let's see.
cool.
Hang on. Let me go back really quickly and see if Andy responded. So if we,
Okay.
yes, he's not a Capricorn, but he said Caps are dear to him. So Andy, I'm guessing you're a Sagittarius. And at some point, I believe that we were talking about money, Madelaine, and he was saying he's not really interested in money.
Right. He could just, you know, there's a lot of we'd have to his chart. I'm sure there's something going on that in this void period, because everybody's releasing an old chapter, and there comes grieving and depression, and we don't see the new things coming. So a lot of people feel, other than the Saturn in retrograde, we're in between and we don't see the new birth yet, and we're feeling the end of something and not the beginning yet as clearly, because there's a
Right.
lot of little sprouts and we don't know. I was talking to somebody the other day saying, a lot of sprouts, I don't know which one is going to be the one that a lot of new things. So it's not easy to be in the void period. It's just to
It's
trust.
not. So
Yeah.
he was talking about relationships. So I'm
Oh,
inferring that for you, it's, you know, maybe that's your focus, Andy, is relationships. And he said something about relationships being 50-50. And it's funny he brings that up because I talk about this in my book, We to
mm-hmm.
Me, A Story of Love, Loss, and Liberation, will be released in January of 2025. Stay tuned here. I'll be talking more about it and giving you all the scoop, but you can read a little bit about it on my website. You'll see a We to Me on the tabs. But I talk about relationships, and I'm just going to briefly touch on this so we can get back to the astrology. But if you think about relationships as you have each individual person, so here's one person, here's the other person, and then think of it as a triangle. And so you have the two people on the bottom, and at the top, the peak is the relationship itself. What I learned through my disentanglement story was that each person in the relationship needs to show up 100%. It's not 50-50. We're each individuals, and each individual shows up fully in the relationship. And all of that energy flows up into the third entity, which is the relationship itself. And that has a whole separate life to it. You know, even, you know, with astrology, you can literally look up a chart, a composite of the two of you, and you can see the chart of the two of you together. It's literally a separate chart. So, you know in my story, if I wasn't showing up fully in the relationship, he wasn't showing up fully in the relationship, and that's where things started to unravel and unwind. But it's, I feel like that 50-50 can be tricky because then you're constantly looking for the balance instead of showing up fully as you are and not worrying so much about how that person is showing up. And when it comes to the yin and yang, it's like, being there for each other and kind of and flowing and adapting within the relationship and communicating. So it requires some effort, I guess is my point, for each person.
I have no idea. I haven't been in a relationship forever.
Yeah. So that's just been my discovery. whoever resonates with that, great. If not, take it or leave it. So it's totally up to you. Okay. So speaking of the, different perspectives, we've got Gemini.
I know. Gemini.
And I'll pop back over to YouTube in a bit and see what comments we have there too. So Andy,
Okay.
keep them coming. Anybody else?
So that's what you have to do when you do live. You go live through Zoom, and then you have to go on a separate window to YouTube to see. You have to do jump and forth. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So I'm jumping back and forth.
Okay. All right. So for Gemini, you guys have Scorpio in your 6th house. So that, and then let's just see where your Pluto is. That is in your 8th. So I would say there's been some addiction issues for Gemini that are purging, or some sort of stress. I know some Geminis who are dealing with some health issues. The 6th house is the house of disease and health and day-to-day, what we do on a day-to-day and work. So it's like some sort of habits, some sort of, so Scorpio can also be addictive. So we're talking about sort of addictive habits that aren't healthy, that because Scorpio is the energy of obsession. And now, so with Pluto in the 8th house, you're really dealing with a lot of fear, some really deep transformational. So there's a major transformation around fear and around your body and your health and spirituality. And and Geminis are really waking up and realizing the connection between stress and disease. And so it's a spiritual solution. So then we've got this surviving some sort of health thing, most likely. Then you get this like Laird Hamilton coming to the top of the water, surviving it, and then having this whole new outlook on realizing, and here's the thing they're going to realize: we have a destined death date. We can get there healthy, or we can get there sick. We can get there feeling really unhealthy and good about our life, or we can suffer by how we karmically treat our body and how we karmically. Now, again, this isn't really like, it doesn't mean you're really unhealthy and you've done really bad things. It can just be stress, as living in a repeated stress reaction to a situation, and you just keep doing it. And so eventually it gets to a point where you can't. And so that's the rubber hits the road. Now in this full moon, new moon, and with the Pluto out of the 8th house, we're literally healing and purging some sort of fear-based, some kind of thing triggers you to do an addiction, because Pluto in your 8th house triggers you and triggers the addiction or the pattern of behaving that is destructive for you. And that is the other energy of Scorpio, is destructive. So it's like there's this awakening. There's, I'm never doing this again. There's, I get it. A lot of people are quitting alcohol. Alcohol is really bad for our bodies. A lot of people are just like, that would be a major kind of thing like that, where their whole life has been drinking and now no more drinking. But their health becomes, this is an awakening and a new beginning in health, but also work, because it is a work house, but it's a day-to-day practice, and it's a new way of working in a field. There might be something else going on in their chart where their career is changing, but something is happening in their work where they now are operating with a devotion to a spiritual, or shall we say, like more faith-based, risk-based, trusting in, I'm alive now, I may as well give it a go, energy, and going for something and starting to work in a way. Like, for instance, let's say you commute every day to work. Now you're going to start working at home, and you're going to have a Zen environment, and you've got water fountains, and you sit outside, and you're now starting to design your life for quality of life. And you're going to fear the little money maybe that you lose by doing that. Well, because you did that, you now suddenly get a whole new client that pays you double. Like, that's the kind of thing that happens when you walk in the path for the higher good for yourself, because that's not karma. Because if you can create karma on your health, on your body, by working in a way, let's say you just have to have the job, but it's bad for your health, but you keep doing it because it puts you in commuter traffic for hours. It's causing you stress. It's not good for you. So you're going to take a risk to find a job that's good for you, good for your health, that's good for your nervous system, at the risk And because you're taking that risk, it's more faith-based, you then are vibrating at a higher in faith energy. So then you suddenly see, oh my God, there is a God. I didn't have to do this because I didn't believe that there was a God, if you see what I mean. So Gemini are going to have some sort of like very shift in quality of living, a new beginning where their life is really quality. They've ended that karma, that fear-based, survival-based motive for their work. I think that's good.
I was going to say that was a lot. Holy smokes.
Was it?
The other signs are going to be like, wow, we got gypped. Gemini got all the goodness.
I know when I do the timing stamps, I'm like, oh, wow, I really went on about this person. I'm not really like even.
Okay. All right. So here we go. We've got Brugmansia for Gemini. And I find it interesting how many cards with similar colors we've got so far.
Right. And this is a really nice vibe for this new moon.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So this activates ease, and the message is let go and let loose, which was pretty much what you were literally just saying right before we switched to the card. This card also reminds Geminis to ask for help, to trust that there's help out there for them, and assimilation and change and growth. Okay, right now we're in the midst of change and growth. So this is a very supportive energy, supportive flower for that. And in order to experience a deep sense of calm, which is what this flower is encouraging Geminis to lean into, and especially with that sixth house placement of their day-to-day life, it's to loosen their grip on something in their life, whatever that is. And Geminis that are listening, as soon as I said that, something popped into your mind. Trust that.
Money. It's the 8th house. It's Capricorn over the 8th house. They have this fear grippage on money. A lot of people do. A lot of people do. That's the energy of the 8th house, but money.
So just be aware of that.
Yeah.
Be aware if it maybe money, it might be something else. So just anything that popped in, be aware of what that was, and
survival.
See if you can just let it go. Lean back and let the creator, source, universal energy support you.
The great sculptor sculpt your life.
That's right.
Do you want to know something really interesting? I just thought about the 8th house. Darn it, I lost it.
The sculptor house. Can that bring it back?
Oh, no, it was really good. Oh, I lost it. It's all right. It'll come back.
Oh, you're teasing us.
I know. It was just before you said that about the sculptor. What did you say?
I was saying it could be about money or something else. And then I think you were thinking 8th house, like what other things could it be? Yes,
it's debt, joint resources. It can be divorces over Capricorn. It's the fear of survival.
What about the legacy that you leave? How people perceive you.
Let me just see where their Aries is over their 10th. No, Aries is over their, wait, Gemini, let me go back to Gemini. Aries is over their 11th. Gosh, I just had it. This deep Scorpio fear of survival. And yeah, it could be to sort of be rich, as it's almost like they fear if they're not rich. Gosh, I just had it. It's a fear of attachment to their financial security as being the thing that really creates a sense of security in their lives.
Okay.
We'll just move on, and if it comes back, great. Yeah. But anyway. All right. So
Cancer.
Cancer. So you are all having Mars in your first house, so you're sensitive and reactive and really lashing out and having arguments with your family, or in conflicts with family, property, real estate, things. But in general, Cancer are wanting to be really chill and try not to let themselves get. So in other words, let their feelings out gently and slowly as you go, so that it doesn't build up. But yes, so Mars is going to be opposing Pluto in your first house. So there could be some kind of, this is the last trigger, the last hurrah, the last time you're going to be triggered around these issues that you've been working on in your marriage partnerships and your relationships. So the journey of Capricorn leaving your house there is like a trigger could come in that really shows you that you've done the growth and that you're over it and that you're really, so prepare to be triggered, or it's coming in as a passionate relationship coming in that is really, really amazing. I mean, that Pluto opposite Mars could be and that new moon in Scorpio, which is hitting your fifth house, could definitely be passionate encounters and relationships. Very much a relationship new moon, co-collaborative, entrepreneurial, creative projects, a lot of fun. It's a good new moon for me, actually. A lot of fun, a lot of good trines going on in my chart over this, like really literally getting over some sort of, the cancers are getting over themselves, trying to control the relationship situation, letting go, like releasing, just having fun, enjoying it, not having any sort of expectations or limitations, or it's sort of like this big emancipation, because also with that Uranus Mercury, there's some truths are coming out where you realize something, you wake up, you realize something, the bigger picture around this story that's been playing out for you about men, about relationships, if you're a man, about women, and because it's Capricorn there, so you're really clearing your control issues in relationships, and why that fear based of survival that's deep down in the Cancer. There's so security and relationship and home and family that that the relationship has to fit and work so that it can all work. So anyway, that you let go now, it's something has most likely not worked out for most Cancers or single in relationships. So now suddenly you've let go and you've accepted, and you're really free from that karma, and you feel like, I love being single. I actually believe we're supposed to be single for big periods of our life so we can know God better and ourselves better, and align more with the self. And that has been a journey that I feel so grateful for. And at the beginning of that journey, because I'm studying astrology, I knew I was going to be on this journey. I was mortified at it, but I couldn't be happier. I loved it. I finally really learned who I am, and that's the best thing we can do. So I'm still on that journey. So this new moon for Cancers could literally be the start of a friend who now becomes your true person, because you wouldn't have been ready for a relationship until Pluto exited the seventh house, because there's more cooking to do. All of us aren't ready for something until Pluto exits that house. So I think that covers it.
All right. Well, we've got another card that's very similar to the last.
That's hysterical.
The date palm flower. And this activates freedom from extremes. And the message is shift the paradigm. So when you were talking about all of the relationship parts of this dynamic, this to me is so much like it. And there's even two flowers here.
Cards. And look at how there's two people leaning up to God. So they're not codependent. It's like two independent. That's what the Cancers have been clearing, that codependency. So it's like they're leaning on the relationship, thinking the relationship is God. And now and a lot of people have to go through this. It's not just Cancers. You can have planets there in your eighth house too.
Yeah.
Anyway, you have to learn how to align two people aligned to God like that. That's so cool. Sorry.
What's so interesting about it too is knowing that you're a Cancer ascendant, and I have a dear friend who is a Cancer sun, and she's been single for, I think, about 8 years now. And she just met a gentleman this weekend. And now, granted, it's a little ahead of the energy of this new moon, but it's still within this energetic spectrum that's happening. So, for Cancerians out there who have maybe been in that space of opening themselves up to love, this might be a prime time. So with that in mind, this flower is reminding you to shift the paradigm, think outside the box. So perhaps somebody is going to come into your life that's not quite in the package you expect. And this is going to give you an opportunity to think outside the box, to open yourself up to the possibility. Doesn't mean it's going to last forever, but it's something that's showing up now. And it could offer you a sense of freedom. This is a flower that brings you a sense of freedom or euphoria. So that feeling that you might have had maybe before you were single because you felt like a relationship would hold you down. now you realize, oh, wow, there's some freedom in me opening myself up to this and having some fun. So the date palm flower feels really nice for Cancer.
Yeah, that's very nice. Well, the main thing that's beautiful about it is that it is a spiritual relationship now. So it's like, you know, not only was it that up and down thing, it's in the light. Again, the same theme of all of these cards is like the white, it seems like it's very enlightened in the spiritual. That's this
Yeah.
nakshatra.
So
I mean,
cool.
the star that it's on. Okay, the Jupiter. All right, so now we're going to go to Leo. Leo. So for Leo, Scorpio is in the fourth. And so let's see where Pluto hits in your sixth. So Leo are going to be clearing a karmic health thing or a patterning. I mean, there's going to be, I had Pluto in my sixth house, and I remember a lot of health issues came up for me. And I had to change the way I live my life. I had to change. That's when I had to quit sugar. And I've never been a drinker, but I had to quit drinking because it gave me such bad headaches. But I would have wine every now and again. And so I had to really start being much more proactive about my health. And so this is the end of that journey. So there may be one more up, because that Mars opposite Pluto can often be a health crisis that makes you think you're going to die. That's what Mars Pluto, it takes you to the edge. That's Scorpio. That's that bottom of that sea thinking you're going to die. And so you basically, now this is a new beginning in a home. So potentially a new living situation, or a new beginning could be a child. You could be pregnant in a new beginning, a new moon there, because it's a new sprout with potential, and it changes your life, because really these are new beginnings that really signify these big new cycles and chapters that we're entering, because Pluto exiting that Capricorn house we're starting a new 20-year cycle here. So we're really shifting in some sort of belief and perception and a transformation around your fourth house. So more faith to maybe expand your home, even though you feel like you don't have the money, but somehow it's going to, somehow the value of your property raised, so that you then can refinance, and then you can pay back the loan that it costs to do it, or just expand and make it more of a work at home situations. But you're going to walk on your more independent path now, so you go home to work because you can lessen your overhead, and you're starting this new devotion on a path. Let's see what else. Definitely you could move and you find your home, of dream home that you want to live in. I'm trying to relate that sixth house Pluto though, because because also you're going to be dealing with a new day-to-day, you've transformed, so you have a new day-to-day way of living. So it's almost like you could move because you want a healthier environment, and you're no longer willing to, like, you make a big sacrifice, because I always forget to mention that the Scorpio, there's a sacrifice of something else, something you desire more that you haven't been reaching for, because you think you're not good enough for it, or you can't afford it. So it means taking a risk. It's facing a fear, but taking the leap. You don't know if it's going to be the wrong thing, and you're going to be too over your head with the money, but you're going to go for it. It's really confusing, but you go for it, and it's okay on this new moon to take a risk. Definitely. Again, don't take risks on things that are obviously not working. I always say take risks with intuitive. Scorpio is the detective. Go deep down and do the investigation and see that it's the right risks. But that is a part of this new moon in Scorpio, is to do investigations and discover some some investments and good things to risk and invest in and put your money into. So I think Scorpio put money into something. They have faith. They're risking it. They're going to go for it. And what else can I see? I think that's kind of it.
So I'm going to add one small thing to that.
Sure, go for it.
And, you know, the fourth house to me, I always think about our heritage, our ancestry, our lineage. And this new moon happens to fall on the Day of the Dead, November 1st. Oh. And so it's a prime time, regardless of your astrology, to honor those who have come before you. And also recognize the sacrifices that they likely made in order for you to be where you are, and the sacrifices that you are currently making for those who come after you. And so it's that moment of gratitude and that reverence for those who came before us, I think, is really important. I actually recorded a video about this, the rituals that I do during that Halloween, the 31st, really Hallows Eve, day of, you know, the 1st and the 2nd, as that portal opening of reverence and connection with our ancestors. And I'll put the link for that. I haven't posted it yet. I'm going to do it probably today or tomorrow, but I'll pop the link in the description. So if anyone wants to check that out, they can. But I feel like that connects with Pluto in the 6th house in terms of, you know, when you're in conversation or dialogue with your ancestors while in this ritualistic space or ceremonial space, there might be information that they can give you that could shift your day-to-day and or your health. I know that last year when I was in the ceremonial ritual space with communing with my ancestors, I received some information that was really helpful for me in this past year to shift, not necessarily my day-to-day specifically, but shift how I was engaging with certain aspects of my day-to-day process I've seen a positive impact from that. So just another slightly different take, but I think
that is the veils are thin on Scorpio energies. The sun's in Scorpio, the moon's in Scorpio. The veils are very thin. Your spirits could absolutely come through, and they absolutely guide us. They absolutely help us with warnings of our health. I really think we are supposed to communicate with our relatives and ancestors, and you know, they protect us. I think
it's really. Say, I'm sorry, say that again.
I have my grandpa. I've always seen my grandpa, and he's a warrior. He was like a World War II hero, and I always see him. And I've seen many miracles happen in my life where I know he's protected me 100%. I've survived some crazy things. Yeah,
I love that. Okay, so hang on, I got to do the card.
Oh yeah,
so the flower, another one, white with a somewhat green background, and you guys can see I'm shuffling here. I am not like choosing cards.
Isn't it great? Because these are so in the light. It's so, you know, it's such a relief.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm certain. I don't know how many more green backgrounds and white flowers there are, so it will shift at some point.
Yeah.
But this is the saguaro cactus, and the saguaro cactus dissolves any disharmonious or misaligned intentions and magnifies purity of the heart. I love that for Leo. Leo is all about the heart.
That flower is so Leo. I can't even. I just want to laugh. It's the sun card in astrology, and it's got the warmth in the middle. I mean, that is so the sun, and it's taking up the whole card. That's so Leo.
The whole thing. Yeah. It's like, hello, we're here.
Yeah. They fill up the whole space.
And so this also reminds you to be of service because you wish to and not expect anything in return. And then this also is a card of fearless independence and effortless problem solving. So again, I feel like this is very tied and connected to the energy of where the moon is for Leos. And even when it comes to effortless problem solving, I feel like that's that 6th house in a way. You know, what problems are happening in your day to day? What problems are happening in your health that you can now resolve and make a change going forward with this new moon energy and transform Scorpio for the long haul. Yeah.
You know, that is so the Leos going through a scorpionic transformation where they stop dimming their light, because Leos are here, that they're supposed to fill up the room. They're supposed to be on the stage. They're supposed to light us up by them being lit up. And even just looking at the card, I smiled. I mean, that's the energy of Leo, is to, so they're transforming a fear that's stopping them from being the full Leos that they're here to be.
All right.
And that's the Pluto in this in the sixth house too, because that is a fear challenging house. Okay. All right.
All right, let me pop back over to the chat. Let's just see here.
I get fired up.
I know, me too. Me too. So Andy was saying, we were talking about drinking. He said as soon as his kids came along, he stopped. Family was worth more. Amen. All saints, good sense to have them around. Yes. Things talking about family. Life is beautiful. He was also saying before, kind of rewinding just a smidge, because I want to honor Andy's energy and his participation with us today. It's super fun to have you here.
Yeah, I'm glad he did. That's fun. We love it.
Yeah. He said he has some mobility issues that hold him back, but the strength in his mind is always strong. He don't always do the most intelligent idea. Age isn't on my side for energy. Yeah, I mean, I totally feel you on that. And at the same time, with a strong mind, you can also shift the view of energy. And maybe this moon will give you some little clues and tips into ways to support yourself and your energy. And yes, Andy, there are 12 houses.
I think most people are going to come into the new moon feeling the way Andy's feeling. And that's why this is such a great new moon, because I think that's what the transformation is going to be around. That thing I think everybody's like, there's a lot of people feeling this way. So you're not alone, Andy.
Yeah, definitely not.
About it. Yeah.
Definitely not. Okay, so Virgo, and we're marching along. This is going to be a long cosmic chat.
We really are going. I'm sorry. I don't know why.
Well, and I feel like now that we've started the precedent of long, we have to keep going so the other signs don't feel left out.
I know.
So thank you to all of.
We're having fun conversations, and we'll timestamp so you don't have to listen to all of our conversation, but maybe people will listen.
Yeah. Well, and I thank all those who are sticking with us and who,
yes,
are here with us live. And please feel free to interject your comments, your thoughts. If you have questions, let us know. Like I said, I'm not totally focused on the chat because I'm present with Madelaine and what we're doing here, so we can be of the best and highest service to you. But I am popping back over periodically. So do engage and ask questions. We'll love it. All right. So Virgo.
God, that really reminds me, one of the Scorpio. Sorry, I was just thinking of that Scorpio new moon, and that I'm starting to do parties again, because I used to work parties and I love doing group sessions and readings and around women, empowering women and stuff. It's fun. So I don't know how I got distracted, but anyway,
well, maybe that's a message for you to kind of percolate.
Yes, because it was a new moon Cancer in the fifth house, which is like parties, friends, new people.
Aha.
Okay. So that just flashed at me. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Okay.
Okay. All right. We're back to Virgo.
Okay, back to Virgo. So this is happening in your third house. So and then Capricorn is over your fifth. So you're really clearing a karmic pattern of making friends and basically being a people pleaser, throwing yourself under the bus for friends, for friend groups, people that aren't really good friends. You're being a really much better friend than they are, but they're taking advantage of you. But the Virgos can throw it's the energy of Virgo would, in the shadow aspect, would be to throw yourself under a bus, self-sacrifice, which is the energy of Scorpio too. But now sacrifice for something good, which means you let go of something that is giving you temporary. Sacrificing is good when it's letting go of something that isn't going to be a big loss. It's like the new thing is even better than that. We have to let that go. Like, let's say you're moving into a new house, but you love the old house, but you have to move. So you have to sacrifice the old house kind of energy, right? So maybe there's old friends that have to go away. You have to let go of these sort of toxic friends now. So there may be one last friend that falls away, that shows up to be a toxic friend, that really triggers your abandonment issues in friendships that abandoned you. and it could be through communication. This is a big part of your journey for Virgo, is communication with Scorpio there, speaking the truth. Maybe you don't speak the truth because you want to hold on to the friendships, but now you're starting to speak the truth. So there's this sort of clearing of your communication, transformation of who you are. You're showing up more authentic. You're telling the truth. Scorpio's a lie detector. It's the truth. That's why that Mercury opposing Uranus is going to reveal truths. So basically Virgo are going to sort of have a bit of feeling much more in their power. They give their power away to friends. They're not going to do that. Basically, the Pluto thing is also about where we give our power away, where we let that thing in that house throw us off our center. And so Scorpio, so third house, new beginnings, new websites, communication, knowing some sort of truth. And often new moons in the third house, I find, are new beginnings, new neighborhoods. You've moved, a new relationship. So you have a new environment around you, new people around you, new neighborhood. You could get a new job writing. It's also a work house, running a business. You start a new business that's very occulty or spiritual that you've always wanted to do. That can also be astrology, by the way, this part of the sky. On the fixed star, one of the things it rules is astrology. It's about astrology. So you may decide you wanted to start doing astrology or learn astrology, new beginning. And I'm trying to think if third house is it can be a relationship house, but it's more of a sort of like a new beginning that you have always been afraid, or like you move to a new neighborhood. You've always wanted to do it, but you're afraid to do it. So you do it. This is all about being afraid of something, but doing it now. And maybe you've always been afraid to speak about something, or to get up and write about something, or speak some sort of truth and reveal truths and start some kind of a website where you're revealing some sort of truth. Go ahead.
All right. Well, the color has shifted, but I still feel like it's like connected. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's anyway, it's just so fun. Okay. So
what's interesting, that one has a dead flower too, which is Scorpio. The death in reverse.
I guess it could be dead, or it could be a new one. Maybe it's.
Oh, is it a new one?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, I feel like it could go either way since we're not sure. So yeah, it's all an interpretation. So this is a dandelion for those who are not familiar with this flower. So the first thing that jumped out at me about the dandelion energy is the mental freedom. Third house, I feel like, is very mentally thinking kind of an energy. So there's mental freedom here. This is a flower that activates relaxation. The message is dissolve tension. So just what you were talking about a moment ago, Madelaine, also, I feel like is a direct connection to this flower and the energy of the Scorpio new moon in terms of clearing any tension in the body, clearing any obstacles in the way of communication. So there might be some, one word on this card that was used was static. So if you think about, sometimes if you're on the phone with someone and you're trying to talk to them and there's some static or interference on the line, it's clearing that out of the way so you can hear or communicate or receive information that you need clearly. So dandelion is, I feel very supportive of that. And also I love the yellow because the yellow energy has to do with your power center. So how you're showing up within a dynamic of communication. Are you kind of like sitting back and not being in your own authentic stance of your sovereignty, and letting somebody steamroll you? Or are you clearing that static out of the way and actually in a relaxed way being able to hold your own within that conversational, communicational dynamic?
Well, it really brings me to think that this is in the third house, which is a Mercury house. Virgos are ruled by Mercury. You have Mercury and Scorpio opposing Uranus in your third house. There's communication, information that surprises you. That's, a shocker, but that will change the course of your life or initiate these new beginnings. So, and as I say, I think third house, we've got Pluto leaving the fifth house for Virgo. So that's the lessons of karmic lessons about relationships are now learned, and you now are probably going to be into this is another relationship transit for somebody. And there you get the two, because they're clearing karma around relationships and friendships with Pluto in their fifth house.
Interesting. I'm thinking about my daughter with that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for them. We'll have to hear what is going on with Sag, because that's what her boyfriend is. Okay. Libra.
So Libras have the South Node in their first house. They're really letting go of an old way of operating and being in this world, and becoming more in their Aries seventh house, or just being more less willing to compromise, because Libras are very good at compromising for the relationship, and now they want to there's less of that going on for Libras. So there could be a lot of relationships ending for Libras if they're in relationships that they had to pretzel themselves to hold. But now the true version of them is coming out in the South Node in their first house, letting go of the false identity. And they've got this new moon in their second house. Nice new moon there, which is a new financial auspicious new beginnings that will be very fruitful, that will feed you, and that will interesting that Mercury forms a kite there to that Pluto. So there really is good news of money and finances coming in. So this is good money for Libra. And it's almost like, and then where does Capricorn in your fourth house? So Libras have had a control attachment issue with family, mother. They're clearing karma around their relationships with their mothers, with their family, ways that they've pretzeled themselves and tried to hold everything together and make a family, make a home, because they think that's their salvation. That's what's going to make their life right, is the family and the thing. And it is, but God will bring it. This is the new moon that says, let go. Your true devotion, your true divine family will fall into place here because you let go. You've stopped trying to force it to happen. You're not afraid of not having a family anymore. You've given up. But then suddenly you get this new family that's like you gave up. So you stop pushing against your ego, which is what your air energy with Libra, your mind is trying to make a story here, and it didn't work, and it's never going to work, because really it's got to come from the heart. So Libra are really shifting into heart energy, their heart truth. That's Scorpio. There is a truth. So yeah, there's like a liberation and a new beginning financially. Now Uranus is in your eighth house opposing. It could be very good money news coming in that really liberates new auspicious beginnings that eventually liberate you, or they could liberate you right now financially, put you on a more independent path. It's a very auspicious new moon for Libra. I like it. Watch out that Mars Pluto thing. There could be conflict in work and living, but again, triggering that with Mars in your 10th house. It's, Mars is often the energy of quitting. You could quit a job, quit working, but you're clearing karma around family and work there. But with that Mars things, there's going to be some sort of a trigger. I'm trying to think how work can trigger family, but maybe, those 29 degree points are usually crisis. So there could be a crisis with your mother, a crisis with your family that you have to deal with. But then that sort of ends an old cycle of living and family and mother. Mother could pass. That is a big, big possibility with that, which then really ends your karma with your mother, Hopefully not, but we try to cover as much as we can to be forearmed and forewarned here.
Yeah. And yeah, I was going to say something. I'm not going to. I'll change my mind. Okay. So interestingly, Libra, the sign of balance and, all that good stuff. Yeah. They have two cards.
Oh.
They have two cards. So we have.
That one's so romantic.
It is rather romantic, isn't it? So this is Peach Blossom, and this is Wild Buckwheat. And what is interesting about these cards for Libra is the peach blossom has an energy of motherly love. And I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm like, where is the motherly love coming into this? And literally, you just started talking about it. So it makes perfect sense now. So we've got the motherly love with the peach blossom. This enhances an attentiveness and an awareness of others' needs. Now, the way I was receiving these cards as it connects to the Scorpio new moon in the second house is that in your attentiveness and awareness of other needs, that could be a pathway to a feeling of connection and success. Okay, which is really something important for Libra.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so then we have the wild buckwheat. This is a flower that obliterates outer obstacles, and it allows there to be an opportunity for sustainable expansion. Okay, again, I think about sustainable expansion as being something very second house. And additionally, it brings something that's that might be subtle into social awareness. So again, that could be a pathway to material success. So the one thing I have to mention about the wild buckwheat too is that this flower has a very electrical energy to it and moves things quickly. I actually was working with this flower, and
Rahu.
I was feeling a lot of almost, it was almost too fast. So I cut back the amount that I was taking so that I could handle the energy. Because I'm like, there's no reason for me to be in this frenetic energy if I'm not feeling it. I have control over how I am engaging with the energetic and realm of the flowers.
Yep.
So just kind of pull back a little bit. So I mentioned that for Librans, in case they are feeling a bit of a frenetic energy, to just take a step back, take a moment, take a pause, maybe take some breaks during the day, go outside, breathe, get up from your desk, take a short little stroll, whatever you can do to kind of calm and tone down the energy, because you are in control of how it rolls and how you experience it. So yeah, Libra, you guys got two.
So Libras have had these eclipses in their Aries eclipses. There's another one happening in March of 2025. And they've been basically, if you're not in your true love relationship, the relationships are ending. A lot of relationships ending on these Libra South Node eclipses. So it looks to me with those two flowers that the Libra have let go of all the other relationships that are not their person, because all the other flowers are behind them. And Libras get into, they kind of are serial monogamists, but they tend to not be in the, they're so compatible and easy to hang out with that they can pretty much get in a relationship with anybody that's somewhat relatively nice, or not. I know a Libra rising gets into relationships with not so nice people, but that card looks like you found your person.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
All right. So Scorpio. And while you do that, I'm going to go turn a light on because it got very cloudy here and
So
dark.
Scorpio, for you to go turn the lights on right now.
Hold, please. One moment.
To bring the light in on the dark.
Okay. Here we go.
Well, obviously this is a total and utter transformation in your identity, a new you, a new haircut, new hats. You'll find when you have a new moon in your first house, you start wearing a different kind of hat. New hairstyles, a new you, a transformation. Yes, a whole transformation. Because where was Capricorn? Where was Pluto? Your ruling planet, really putting you through the spin dry in your third house, which is spin cycle. Which is like communication, being honest. Scorpios are very honest, but they have a problem where they can be honest in a way that causes problems in their lives. But they need to find or master a way of communicating that isn't karmic, which means it's not fear-based, it's not trying to control the situation, it's not manipulative. What else? I'm not saying they're all manipulative, but in their complex emotional and through communication, they can either create problems with that, lashing out, anger, upset, intensity, drama, or, and it's about the mind as well, or they learn to master their mind, their thinking, their inner dialogue, because they get paranoid trigger. Scorpio is paranoid trigger. And you're not always right.
So are you sure? Are you sure
Yeah.
we're not always right? Maybe we are.
You think? You think the trigger, like Scorpio Venus, they always think the person's cheating on them all the time. And my son was like that, and he ended up being right.
I wouldn't say I'm always paranoid, but I mean, I think when things
That's
happen in your life that create that pathway of that potential of paranoia, maybe I was just making a joke about,
yeah.
I'm
And
always
it's not a constant state for Scorpio to be in a constant state of paranoia trigger. It's trigger. There's a slight paranoia can trigger up in them every little bit, every now and again. And so where they start to process and they think, ooh, that's not good. Like they'll go into a little bit of a, paranoid place about something. So basically that's where the Scorpio has had to do a lot of work and has had to master their third house, their mind, their thinking that causes paranoid trigger, reactive behavior and drama. So now what we've got is this Pluto in your third coming through, showing you manage your emotions by managing your mind and then communicate from a place of having stabilized yourself so that you're not trying to alter your experience, your internal experience by saying things to try to change the external so that you can feel better. So in other words, you learning how to do that first and then engage, right? So that's a big growth thing, a growth spurt here for Scorpio, where they now are a new person. So now you're able to really intertwine and take on more complicated relationships and more higher risky adventures because you've got some sort of self-management going on better. There's maturity with that Saturn going direct in your what house? In your fifth house, relationships, creative projects. That's great. So for Scorpio, this is a big transformation. This is huge. You're going to really become, and that is a very empowered version of your sign where you aren't, because the point of being that sensitive and that triggerable and that paranoid is that you're tuned in and you're there and it's not a bad thing to be because it's very connected and deep. But in order for it to be positive in your life, you have to manage it and not let it out of hand and not let it run the show. So Scorpios are evolving there karmically. They're ending that. That's why they came in as Scorpio, to end that karmic pattern. Because no matter what sign you came in, that Capricorn house is why you came in here, because that's where we're getting the growth. And so yeah, I think that's good.
yeah. So
What
yeah,
do you get?
I very much relate to
Did you?
that energy. And I feel
Oh,
like here's the thing with Scorpios is that once they're aware that that's happening, that there could be the mind is getting a little bit stirred up and they're
yeah.
getting freaked out over things and creating stories in their mind, they can pause and reflect and
Mhm.
contemplate and reel it in. But I feel like until they have the realization and the recognition that that's happening, it can derail their lives in
Yes.
so many different
Yep.
ways.
Causes a
Um,
lot of destruction. That's
yeah,
basically it. Communicating in ways that causes destruction, not construction.
it's just yeah, it can be tough. So
Yeah.
I love the pink
Oh, wow.
lotus for Scorpio. We obviously have the gardenia as the overall flower for everyone. So if you're not even listening to all 12 signs and you gave up on this, you got the gardenia, so you're good to go, overall speaking. But this is specific for those who have Scorpio in their chart. And it activates divine wisdom. The
Mm,
message is look within, which I love. I love
mm,
that for Scorpios. Um, this is very much connected to spiritual insights, which again, during this new moon in Scorpio, intuition is going to be rocking and rolling. Madelaine, you were mentioning about the veils being thinner. Yes, you're able to actually access information that wasn't necessarily. It's always available, but might not have been as easily available. So now is the time to really take a few moments to ask some questions, connect with yourself, be in some quiet stillness and meditation, or even just the other thing too with Scorpio is like movement, gentle movement is really great. So just some dancing, connecting with your sensual side would also, I feel like, be supportive. And then the other thing about this that I think is really cool is that if you are using any elixirs or mists or any of the LOTUSWEI products, this is a catalyst for all of the other ones. I believe that this flower might be in almost all of the blends. So it's one that's really supportive for any transformation that you might be going through. So just good to know for anyone out there. And yeah, Pink Lotus.
It reminds me though that they're going to have Mercury in their first house, opposing Uranus in their seventh house. So there may be relationship endings and surprise communication from relationships. And don't forget, Scorpio's ruled by Mars and Pluto, and they're opposing each other. So there's a lot of triggering going on. So this is going to be a test. What happens when you get triggered here with that Mars Pluto opposition? Are you going to go attack your spouse, and strangle him? Are you going to get triggered and feel really hurt? That could happen. And then and now you're going to get that, how do I communicate through this without causing destruction and with being a transformed version of me in this situation? So I just needed to mention that.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said that, because we were actually talking before we went live about this, where I was feeling a lot of amped up energy recently. Yes. And I knew that by voicing the amped up energy I was feeling to my partner was not going to be beneficial. But there was part of me that I was like, it was just, I couldn't not get something out. So I said a few things, but not to the level and degree that I really had the strong urge to do. And I'm glad I didn't, because it was absolutely not supportive or helpful to the relationship. And it was a passing energy within me.
Yes.
Had nothing really to do with him.
That's, you just passed the darn test. That is
exactly. Yay. Oh boy. Okay.
That is exactly what I'm talking about.
All right. So there's an example for everyone they can take with them.
Yeah. These things, we reveal our own struggles so that you can, as an example, because that's how I understand most of astrology by what is happening to me, then is really integrated. I really get it with other people too.
Well, and we learn from one another. I mean, that's why we're doing these. So, and being able to share. All right. While you're holding that up and getting ready, I'm going to pop back over to the chat. Let's see. Okay. Madelaine Jessica is here in the house.
Oh, I'm so glad. That's great.
Yes.
Glad she joined us. How's she doing?
All right, Jessica, you'll have to tell us in the chat. Andy's saying he's never really been a person who follows horoscopes, but after 50 years experience on life, it's really interesting. Yay.
Yeah, it is.
Let's see.
Glad that you are enjoying.
And he's also saying motherly love is always from the heart, for sure. And he's also saying, he said, I am always, but I don't know what that is referring to. I feel paranoia is more a conscious state. I don't know. I'll have to sit with that one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, because I feel like that can stem from subconscious or unconscious fears.
Maybe it's a subconscious situation being triggered coming to the fore consciousness.
Yeah.
That's what he means. Which
could be.
Makes sense.
Could be. And then Annie was saying that's understandable, Amalia. I don't know about what. And I'm gonna just show how non-cool I am. With Andy, you're saying YH 100%. I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means, Madelaine?
YH, you said YH? 100%?
YH 100%.
No.
I don't know. We're just not cool enough, Madelaine. What's YH, Andy?
Why? Yes. I don't know.
Heck yeah. I don't know. That's the opposite way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So Andy was talking, that's understandable for Scorpios. Yes. All right. Well, we'll come back. So anyone who's here and wants to share their thoughts, feelings, questions, queries,
join in.
Yeah. Sagittarius.
We're sitting here all afternoon anyway.
I'll be turning more lights on as we go.
Yeah.
Okay, Sag.
Okay, Sagittarius. I seek mutable fire. I don't know. I just got, since we're not in a rush. All right, Sagittarius, you have Venus in your first house on your ascendant, which is wonderful. You're going to look good. You're going to be in good. It's good to have your Venus in your first house. Things, it's better money, and it's nice. And so, and you're going to have this new moon in your 12th house. Could be travels, and that's one of the things. This is ruled by this part of the sky. The star is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter represents travel. And you've got Saturn in your ninth house going direct. So there's wait, I'm sorry, that's Cancer rising. I'm never mind. You've got the new moon. You have Jupiter in your seventh house. Relationship could absolutely come in and travel with a relationship, and also with the new moon in your 12th house is travel or retreat or new beginnings in something that is, shall we say, really, really a spiritual leap of faith or a result of really clearing karma. So you have some sort of confidence to step out and do some sort of bold new beginning that really, that is like a result of you really stepping out of a cave, because it's a transformation of something that has been karmic and fear and deep in your, it's a really like a total, it's almost like a transformation in your first house, but it's in your 12th house. So it's like a deep spiritual transformation where you really break out of your ego. It's like an ego death, but it's almost like liberates you to be your really authentic self. And it's a very good Jupiterian energy. So it really rises your vibration. It really makes you, I can feel it. I'm a Sagittarius sun. You know, this is very interesting because I did a post where I walked outside and I did it in nature, Sagittarius in the country. And I felt really just not trying to be it's like the Sagittarians are sort of dropping into something that's more natural or more their authentic kind of raw, opening up, new beginnings where you have shed an ego, because that 12th house is usually like a house where we're held back by some sort of past life trauma. So it's like a new beginning where that's been holding us back. And it would be like a sort of a totalitarian transformation where you really are getting over yourself, and over some sort of deep, I want to say immature fear. Let's see, Pluto. Oh, wow. It's very connected to Pluto. Pluto rules and Mars rules this, and Mars is going to be in your 8th house of money, and Pluto leaving your 2nd house. So I know my son is Sagittarius, my ex-husband is Sagittarius, a lot of Sagittarians around me that really cleared out. I'm much better with money than they are. They are not very responsible with money. I have my Venus in Capricorn and I'm very responsible with my money. So this is not as much for me, Sun Sagittarius, but rising Sagittarians, or which they are going to learn. They've cleared some sort of karmic, because Sagittarius can be too generous and then they broke and then they're stuck for money. So it's like there's some sort of balancing and learning around money where they have a relationship with money that's more of a trust, that's more of a friend. Like they're making friends with money now. They have a better attitude about money. Like, and that's what that 12th house kind of fear is a bit of that theme with Scorpio. There really is a 12th Scorpio of your 12th house is definitely fear of survival, financial, no doubt about it. So there's going to be ways Sagittarians would have been making money out of desperation vibes or beliefs. I know some Sagittarians who have been broke, Jupiter in retrograde, Saturn squaring it. They've been a bit broke because they're being aligned to be more in faith in the ways that they earn their money, to have more faith. That's what this Scorpio new moon is going to be, that it's like, wow, I I can travel and live my dream life and go for it and start these auspicious new beginnings, because I have total faith now that I will survive. Because that's what happens in these. You suddenly discover that you survive. Like my son sometimes is on the verge of starvation, but somehow it's like that Laird Hamilton, he survives. It's like, wow, I am being kept alive on this planet, by forces beyond me. So there's that karma clearing where you go, wow, no, I walk my true hearted path, my devotional path, and divine does provide me with, I will be fed that second house Pluto. I feel exhausted. I feel like I just.
I mean, we have been going for 2 hours and we're not done. We've got a few more. And don't worry.
That was a very Sagittarius presentation.
Yes, very fired up. Yeah. So, I mean, and talk about fired up. I mean, look at this card, fiery red coming out.
Wow, yes.
Us. I love the rose for 12th house transits because it feels such a loving embrace when you're going through the depths of the 12th house. Yep. All good, Madelaine. So the rose, this activates tenderness. The message is nurture yourself. And you were even talking about that before. And I feel like it's so important right now, in particular, as the seasons are changing and the energy is shifting to nurture ourselves, to lean also into forgiveness, enhancing compassion for yourself, compassion for others. And this Scorpio new moon is really going to encourage Sagittarians to heal their old wounds and scars. There's things that they have tucked off to the side, or maybe they felt they were pretty much healed, but now they're really, truly going to heal those aspects of their lives that have not felt like it's been safe to, or that they've been able to. So the rose is coming in with this, like I said, it's like this loving embrace is what it feels like, to help them get over this hump, to be prepared for the new moon in their sign, in the following month. So it's a beautiful foundation for them. So the rose.
Yeah. And that really does explain that 12th house where you're really busting through a major karmic knot with that light coming through. It's like, busting through a big fear.
It's
around money and survival. A lot of people have it. It sounds like I'm just saying the sign is, but we're going to go through those fears when we have these planets transiting these points, and we're purging these fears out of us so that we take more in faith new beginnings that are abundant, that are based in belief that we can do it. Otherwise, we just die.
That's a bit dramatic.
Sorry, I mean, that's it's like a new birth in an area where we have to tread now that we were afraid to tread. Yeah. And if we don't tread new steps, then we're not living, right? We're not forward. So yeah, didn't need to be dramatic, but that is the energy of Pluto. It's death and rebirth. Like we're death of a new path, which was fear, which was a choice based in fear. So now we believe now we can do this. Like sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's all good. So Capricorn, you want to put the card up?
Yep. Capricorn right here. So big transformation energies. You got Mars opposing your 7th house, your 1st house. So maybe conflicts in your relationships coming up. A big showdown between you and another shows up here. That really finalizes you to be more, shall we say, independent, and a karmic pattern, a big resolve of a karmic pattern, no more doing it, which is going to be your whole identity and your whole way of being shifting towards one of more. I know a Capricorn this is really happening to, one of more creative passion. Taking more risks and stepping more, because you see the Capricorn is going to put their foot very timidly in the creative box, very timidly, because Capricorn is the mountain goat, the water goat. And they don't know this, astrologers know this, that they always land on their feet. The goat, when the goat falls down the mountain, they land smack on their feet. They climb very steep. They take risks. They climb steep, hardworking things, and then they slip down and they land right on their feet. But they don't think Capricorns are afraid that they're not going to land on their feet. So if the Capricorn embraces, they have Taurus over their fifth, which is a sign of how you can really improve your income, is that Taurus house. If they embrace that fire, passionate, creative fire, it's the house of structure with the flair, because the Capricorn is structure. They create a lot of structure, and they're very focused on that, and they're great at that. And then what happens is it's just a structure it's just a structure. So what we need, the Capricorn is going to become the most expansive expression of the energy of Capricorn is when it partners with the flair and the fire of Leo, the creative, the extra. So when the Capricorn plays, it's all about playing, the fifth house. They are in the full expression, the most positive expression of the energy of Capricorn, which means they have faith that they will always land on their feet. Therefore, they can play. That's telling the universe, I trust. I can play and have fun and joy, right? That's joy. So the Capricorn gets too serious, too focused on that path and that walking up that hill, instead of skipping and playing and dancing, because if they fall, then they'll just giddy on back up, and they land on their feet. They always do. They have that natural ability. The Capricorn is their nature. It's there. So more creative risk-taking, new beginnings, where they're liberated to be more trusting in their creative path and trusting the universe is there, that there might be a crisis where their feeling of survival is threatened and they feel like they're going to die. Mars, it could be, but they suddenly, the thing that they lean on isn't there. And then the divine sends them a new thing to lean on, which is much more better, much more true, solid, and opens up their new destiny, really. That's just watch out, relationship conflicts. But you're leaning too much on relationships. That's part of the journey for Capricorn to learn. Their survival is really for true Capricorn, when you really understand what is going to be your survival, is in your fifth house. Your true Capricorns are always going to survive, though. They're always going to make it. But what's really going to give you that feeling of like my life is going great, like I'm living at the ultimate experience here as a Capricorn, is if you are having fun and being creative. And that's why if you look at charts of all the famous people, they are Capricorn with Sagittarius or creative Pisces. That mixture is like perfection. That's my lecture.
Well, it's just what I keep thinking is, Misha's a Capricorn and sun, and I'm a Scorpio rising, and there's some relationship. So I'm going to have to warn him. We need to be careful. Yeah.
Yep. You could trigger each other and lash out and hurt each other's feelings and trigger your insecurities and trigger the other one and make them feel like they're, you could say something, you don't mean it. They take it that way. With Mars Cancer, you take everything personally.
Yeah.
And all you're saying is, I like that other shirt on you better. What? You think that it turns into
yeah. Well, he's also Pisces ascendant, so he can be sensitive too. So
yes.
Woo, all right. I'm going to have to really use all my strategies and skills to center.
So what you do, just so you know, so everybody out there, it really helps, is you just be really honest and open and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I'm just feeling really insecurity. I'm just feeling really vulnerable in law. And it will work out well.
As long as you're not both emotionally charged at the time, in which case the other person might not be able to actually receive your words in the way it could exacerbate an already challenging situation. So just make sure when you do say that, you're both feeling somewhat stable.
Yeah, you just stand there like a kid and put your hands on your eyes and just say, you just hurt my feeling.
That's so cute. Maybe I will do that.
Yeah, just go, you just hurt my feeling. Okay.
No, sorry, baby. All right. Red hibiscus, which it's like so red, it's blending into the part.
Watch out.
Which is so funny. After Sag. Yeah, well, I know, right? Watch out. That's uh-oh.
Go on a trip for the week.
Don't hang out next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
be very passionate too on the other side where you have this,
well, that's true. That's very Scorpio. That
yeah.
passionate,
Yes.
sexual, sensual energy as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so red hibiscus. This activates a fresh perspective. It's a time to hit the refresh button. So, the way I receive this based on what you were saying, Madelaine, too, is like if you have a creative project or some idea that you've been thinking about, now is the time to maybe start it, to get it rolling, because you're going to have a whole new way of viewing it, a whole new energy behind it. There's a sense of a new start. So this is even talking about a new start itself, the red hibiscus. There's a feeling of hope and relief. And I thought this keynote was really significant in that you're able to recognize how situations in your life are contributing to your personal growth. And I feel like, Capricorns, not all of them, I think it depends on if you're male or female and where you are in your life trajectory, but they're very focused on their careers and the things they have to do to, make sure they're stable and secure in their life and they have what they need, that sometimes they miss out on the personal growth part of it. And this might be the prime opportunity for them to see how different circumstances and situations in their life are supporting their personal growth, which is then supporting them on their path and their journey to their career success or advancement. So red hibiscus.
Yes. And I say stay away from Capricorn. No, I shouldn't say that. No, I think that looks like sort of a outburst of fire and energy, and it's ruled by Mars. So it's like, I would say it's a big breakthrough for Capricorn and being very sort of like busting out and taking some sort of courageous risk.
All right. Get out there, Capricorns.
Yep. All
Courageous
right.
risk.
So let's now for Aquarius.
Aquarius. Speaking of careers.
Ruled by Saturn. And by the way, Capricorn, I forgot to mention, you've got your ruling planet going stationing direct. So things are going to move forward. Things are going to be much better for Capricorn and Aquarius. They're both ruled by Saturn. So things are going to feel better. Things are going forward, much better energy after the mid-November. So what have we got here for Aquarius? Wow, you've got that Pluto right on your cusp of your 12th and your first house. And so there's again a very powerful all around a fear showing up right now of most likely survival, financial in general, the economy being kind of on the lower side. Some of these fears are really showing up. So and Mars is on your descendant, so you could get into conflict with your relationship, but this is auspicious new beginnings in your career because it's in the 10th house. So there is some sort of it's almost like for Aquarius, it's like, you know what? This has been an option for my work. I've looked at it, but I never thought it would really do anything. I'm kind of afraid of doing it. Maybe it's like, let's give an example. If you're in the film industry and you're writing scripts and you suddenly decide you never want to do spiritual, you never want to do like occult topics, but you know what? Everything seems to be blocked in your progression. And you're like, you know what? Maybe we'll consider this project. Maybe I'll consider this new way of career that I'm busting through some sort of fear about, that I'm afraid of what people think of me. Is it true? Is it real? Is it, so it's like some sort of busting through and taking a risk and some new beginning in a career that's taboo. That's the other thing about North Node. Scorpio, is it's taboo. Is what are people going to think of me? Maybe it's just sort of doing something that's spiritual and you're afraid of what people think of you. And it involves some sort of spiritual thing, but it's a devotional path you're going to take. And you've always been afraid of people thinking of you, like maybe you decide to be a tarot card reader. or you literally take a new beginning where it could be the detective, it could be you take this sort of surprising new turn in your career, which everyone looks at you and goes, wow, I never thought you were that. And you go, no, I've always been afraid to do that, but I'm going to do it now. And that's your new career. And it is going, if that something that comes up new, a sprout, an opportunity, you're going to take it because you're like, oh, I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to be a detective, so you're going to get hired to be a detective so it's sort of like a discovery of a path in your career that because of that Pluto in your 12th house, you've overcome some fear of persecution around, or some fear of public ridicule. And so now you're like, well, I'm going to get over that fear of what people think. I'm going to take it. I'm devoted to this. It's my true path. It's sort of like me, what happened to me when I became an astrologer and a tarot reader. I was, and again, this is sort of like, you don't do it unless it's the only thing. It's not that it wasn't the only thing. It was that I had been seeking a career in all these creative fields. And meanwhile, everybody's asking me for readings and astrology readings. And so I suddenly realized, and then as I get to know my chart, I can see I'm an astrologer. I can see it. I've got my moon in the 9th house and the sign of Pisces. So it's like that. I was always afraid to do who I really was, because in my family of origin, everyone said it was nonsense and it was ridiculous and it's bullshit, my dad used to say. So it's like, I just thought, well, it's all just bullshit. But it's like the only thing that is working for me, because it was what I'm supposed to do. So that's kind of what happens with this Scorpio thing on your in your 10th house, the career that you're really supposed to do, that you just have uncomfort with, but you're going to do it. And it's the new beginning, and it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be extremely auspicious because it's a risk. Go ahead.
Wow, I love this. And look at this card. I mean, yet another
Oh,
flower that's like
yeah.
this flower that's like
Wow, they're all kind of,
flower.
that's so weird.
It's great. And this flower. I mean, it even looks like this one.
Wow, it was like evolving. That flower evolved and moved into the other ones, the bridge
It's
between the
just
two.
wild. I
I
may take a
see the
picture.
Pisces.
I may take a picture
Yeah.
of all of these later, like put them out on a table and post it somewhere for folks to see, because it's pretty wild what's been happening with
Yes.
flowers today.
Yes. Make a post of it. Put each sign on each one for fun. I don't know.
Too much work, Madelaine.
Yes, that's
Maybe we'll see. We'll see how creative I'm
yeah.
feeling. So, all right, we have the pomegranate flower for Aquarius. Okay. The Scorpio new moon, like Madelaine, like you were saying, it's really lining them up with their career path. But in order to do that, it's almost like they have to detoxify or remove the parts of their focus that hasn't truly been aligned with what is their destiny, what is their soul calling them to do.
Mm-hmm.
This gives them the strength to do it. It gives them the ability to do it. It allows them to have this energized feeling around moving towards something new and different, perhaps. It gives them creative energy, which you were talking about that, and the ability to express themselves. Aquarians are here to express themselves in a whole different way. So now they have this creativity, this energy that's pushing them to express who they really are, a sense of re-energized vibes that's, again, pushing them to express and be who they are, and clear out all of the muck that's not really who they are and what they're meant to be doing here. So I love the
Yeah.
pomegranate flower for them.
Scorpio's passion. Yes, Scorpio's passion. That orange is your passion energy in your third chakra, that second chakra, that creative energy, that passion. So yeah, they're like new beginnings in a career related that is to their passion.
It's really cool. Yeah, I love it for them. And let's before we finish with Pisces, let's pop over to the chat and see. Okay, so Jessica responded and she said she's doing better today, heavy energy, but working past it. Way to go, Jessica. She said she's had a slow last couple of weeks, but was able to save 700 a month on her bills by making a couple of phone calls.
Right.
So money and abundance does come in many forms. So it was a good reminder for me at the beginning of the video. Yay, Jessica,
Hang
that's great.
in there. Money's going to be better now. As soon as Saturn goes direct, we're going to see things improving.
Yay.
And we
Um,
survived it. That's the important thing.
it's so huge. Yeah, it's so huge. And it's so fun when you start to see these openings and these things, these opportunities present in ways you don't expect. Um, um, so Andy was saying something about, could it be there's not an energy around money for, I think you said meant Sagittarians. Um, I don't know if that's true necessarily. I think it depends on what's happening in the rest of
Well,
their chart.
Saturn rules the second house for Sagittarians, and Saturn has been in retrograde. So yes, there
There we
has
go.
been, yeah, but you're okay. You're going to survive, but no cookies and dessert, no extra right now. But as soon as Saturn goes direct, there's going to be a little bit more. You're going to feel more improvement and more progress.
Nice. That's great. Okay. And then Andy's got to go. It's been interesting.
Good chatting with you, Andy. Thanks for
And
hanging.
he said, tell Madelaine to send her boy some food parcels, probably because you were talking about how he was starving. I was actually thinking the same thing. I'm like, send him some ramen packets or something,
I
Madelaine.
know, I know.
Mom knows his favorites. Yes, she does. And
Yeah,
God bless, ladies. So thanks, Andy. You were super fun to have here. I hope he comes back
yeah. Thanks for
again.
joining in. That was
And
fun.
Jessica, thanks for your input and your comments and the updates. I don't know the whole
Yes.
backstory, but I kind of got the gist from what you shared. So that's really cool. All
Hang
right.
in there.
And
Yep.
then Pisces, we're not
All
gonna
right.
let you down. We're gonna
Pisces.
make sure we take good care of you.
Yep.
Pisces.
Pisces, Pisces, Pisces. So that's going to be, you've got Saturn going direct in your first house. Yay. Yay. Finally, Pisces, things are going to feel better and less fun. Saturn in your first house is definitely depressing. Just so you know, there's bouts, depending on how the planets hit that. It's a funky day. It's a funky time, but like we all love Saturn, what it does to you, what it turns you into is this really made a lot of progress, a lot of maturity, and you're going to be very proud of yourself after Saturn leaves your first house. So basically with that new moon, it's in your ninth house. So we're talking about a big old major transformation around beliefs, travel. It's actually a really nice place for this new moon because it's again, it's that's part of the star that's, even though Scorpio is ruled by Mars, but this particular part of the star that it's contacting is ruled by Jupiter. It's in your ninth house, which is good luck, travel, opportunities, it's expansion, new beginnings that are really opening up your life in a very powerful way. Where you travel, or but the main thing that's happening with Pisces is that they're having a revelation. This is a revelation. This is a transformation. It's where they're transforming from making choices that are security based and now having a complete faith transformation, a spiritual transformation. And again, it just means you believe in yourself more. That's basically, it's basically waking up to your power as a creative, because all Neptunian ruled people are creative. And that is the house of Jupiter, which you're also ruled by. So it's like some sort of, it's a big wake up. It's like waking up, because Pisces are a little doomsday. So that is the energy of the 12th house of Pisces. So now this is sort of like this re-enlightenment, faith, but having faith again about their life, believing in life again, feeling excited, and a bounce coming back in their step. That's what it's like. They're going to start being more optimistic and a little more positive. And they're like, okay, things can work out. Like, wow, my dream cans come true. They can come true. And then with Pluto and Mars in your fifth house, and again, you know, Pisces, Amalia, just so you know, is again a potential conflict with the fifth house there. Friendship, maybe a friend ending, or conflict in your relationships. But you're clearing karma with that 11th house, which is what people think of you online. So this belief transformation is going to go against what you would have allowed. Your new belief is going to challenge what people think of you. It's like suddenly you become a flat earther, and all these people are going to think you're a complete idiot. You know, I don't mean that. I'm just giving an example, but there's some sort of transformation of a belief that you've been afraid to believe because you didn't want what would people think of you? So it's that, like that, and you take a new beginning, but you've cleared, you don't care anymore. This is the path that's opening up for you. It's like, oh, well, people are going to think this about me. That's the way it goes. You've cleared that karma. You've learned the lesson. I have to do this authentic thing. Feels inspired. This is what I desire. That's the Mars and Pluto is the truth desires. So a transformation over what people think of you, and you're now stepping into some sort of new belief where you don't care anymore. And that brings you into a very auspicious new path, which your belief has been blocking you from. And your fear of what people think of you because of this belief is blocking you from really walking your true path.
I find what you're saying really interesting with Pisces too, because the energy of the flower, which I'm going to show in a second, is connected to what you're saying, but it's almost like it's like the second part. It's like what you just shared was part one, and the flower is giving part two. And one of my sisters is a Pisces sun, and there's been a lot of shifts happening in her world within her work, and also her beliefs around different aspects of her life that are contributing to maybe some challenges she's having in her work, or sometimes some with relationships too. Like she met someone on a plane. She never ever thought that was possible. And then really having her get in touch with her feelings around what does she actually want, like thinking outside the box, like that higher mind, and with her career, researching other options. And so it's been really interesting because that very much connects with what you were saying as an example. And then we have the chandelier succulent. So it's slightly different shape, but we have that bright red again.
Wow.
A lot happening with this flower. This is the message with this is finish what you start. So for any Pisces out there who maybe they've been learning something or taking courses and things, finish it. And then you have the momentum to take it to the next level in whatever fashion that is for you. It's effortless action, the energy for effortless action to completion, and realize that you have what it takes to get you to the finish line here. You have everything that you need. So, and this to me is like, it kind of looks celebratory in a way. It's called the chandelier succulent. And it's almost like, okay, just a little more energy and effort, and those flowers that are kind of hanging will like pop up and be ready to express themselves in the most dynamic way possible. So the chandelier succulent.
That's great. That's good. That's like, if that's Pisces energy, it's so red. It's like, I guess it's really doing what they desire. It's that Mars energy. It's like motivating from that lower chakra, really, really walking that desired path. Because I think about my son, he's Pisces rising, and he may have, part of the reason he's struggling might be that he's slightly off center on what he's doing, and it's not quite what he really truly desires. But again, it's that he's got Capricorn over his 11th house. He kind of thinks this is what I should post. This is what I should do. This is what looks like everybody else is doing, what the other successful things are doing. And it's not really coming from your true passion, that deep down. And now this will be a time where the Pisces steps into that. And then they lock into the thing that really will make you very abundant, because this is the right thing. These new beginnings are the right in aligned things, because we're starting entirely new chapters in our lives. So these new beginnings are in alignment for us. And, it's sort of like we've been wrapping up and closing and dissolving an old chapters in our lives, and it's been trickling away. And now we're starting to see the new sprouts. This is literally a new sprout coming in that is blowing in the wind, which means it's divinely supported. So these new opportunities and new sprouts are coming in that we're going to now expand, that we have been limited about and karmically blocking, that are more devotional, more faith-based. And I think we're all going to have, even though I see this really challenging transit with Mars Pluto coming in, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hoping for the best, but it could be tough for society in general. But there's going to be some sort of faith restorative reinvigoration of hope in finances and our future. So in general, this gives us a sort of restored, like I say, excitement for life again.
Well, I
guess I
believe
could leave it there.
we covered it all. Just really
Yeah.
quickly, a fan of
Oh, I like
of all the cards. It's just so cool
cool.
how it's just this flow.
Yeah, interesting how the Pisces one is like the exact opposite of that first one,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and that's like this the how the wheel works.
Really cool. Really
Yeah.
cool. So
Well, that was fun today. I
um
really enjoyed it. So
that was great. So let me go back over here. Jessica says, yay. Awesome. All right. Well, I don't know what else we could possibly say that has not already been
give
said.
us likes.
Okay, yeah.
Give us likes.
Follow, like, subscribe, all the good
Subscribe.
stuff. And we are wishing you all a beautiful Aries full moon continuation in flowing into the Scorpio new moon. Madelaine and I are here for any support that you may need. All of our information is below, and you can reach out to us for support and more specific guidance on what's showing up for you in this coming transit and all transits to come. And we thank you very much for being here with us. We appreciate you. I saw a lot of people stayed with us this whole time, which I
Yay.
am so impressed and so grateful
It
for.
made
I
it
guess
more fun, actually.
yeah, we were doing something right today, even though
Yeah.
we were crazy long. But that's great. Everyone's going to
We
have lots
just
of
should
goodness.
hang out all afternoon, one every 2 weeks, and just sort of kick it for like 4 hours.
I know. I know. Actually, well, yeah, if people could have
That's
been
kind
with
of
us
what we're doing.
when we were
Yeah.
hanging out in Sandpoint, that's pretty much what we did.
Yeah.
It was pretty great. So more of this to come, but and we'll
All
see you
right.
in a couple of weeks, everyone. Thank you for being with us. And I guess we'll
See
see
you
you
next
in
time.
2 weeks. Yeah. Okay.
Adios.
Bye.